Chapter 1296. However, Li Fan could not go out to welcome the guests. He was at a crucial moment in channeling his energy. There were still 2 more neurons left. Li Fan was prepared to take a gamble and quickly cut off these 2 neurons. He could not stay here any longer. At this moment, Jin Jingfeng and the rest had already arrived downstairs. A Taiji warrior directly kicked open the door. Everyone entered and saw that there was a huge freezer in the living room on the first floor. They did not know what it was used for. This Chinese is really strange. Why did he get a freezer? A Taiji warrior held his treasured saber and knocked it on the freezer, feeling a little puzzled. Who cares what it is for? It is just an ordinary freezer. Jin Jingfeng looked up the stairs. Chinese dog, why are you still not coming out? Everyone, you are here as a guest, yet you did not inform us in advance. It is not good to be so sneaky, right? A young man's voice came from upstairs. His voice seemed very soft, but it was like a great bell ringing in everyone's ears. This is our territory. We are free to go wherever we want. You evil disciple, you actually think you are the master. Jin Jingfeng could not help but mock. I want to be the master? You guys are used to being dogs. Laughter came from upstairs. Why? Is your beautiful daddy blaming you guys because you did not do well? Impudent. You do not repent even when you are about to die. Just obediently accept your death. Jin Jingfeng roared. Everyone, can you come up later? Right now, I am having fun with my wife and have no time to entertain you guys. Then go down and be a pair of happy ghosts. A Taiji warrior immediately jumped up the stairs and rushed upstairs. But at this moment, a powerful palm wind came from upstairs. Bang! The entire staircase was frozen into frost, and that Taiji warrior was frozen into an ice sculpture. He slid down the stairs and smashed into the ground, shattering into pieces. I already said that it is not convenient for us now. Why is this child so disobedient? Li Fan's mocking voice came from upstairs. He lost his dog life for nothing. TSK is it. Jin Jingfeng was someone who knew what was good and bad. This palm wind could shock the heavens and the earth. Even he had never cultivated such a powerful inner force before. Damn it, how could there be such a powerful opponent in China? I don't believe it. Everyone, let's go and kill him. Another 2 Taiji warriors stepped on the ice and charged forward. However, they were met with another powerful palm wind. The 2 Taiji warriors hurriedly raised their long sabers, wanting to block, but it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. In an instant, they were frozen into 2 ice sculptures, falling down and shattering. Dogs, can't they understand human language? Li Fan sneered again. Everyone be careful. This is too strange. Kim Jingfeng did not want his brothers to die for nothing. Every single one of them was a treasure of South Korea. Their deaths would be South Korea's greatest loss. He raised his head and looked up, looking in a certain direction. We can't go up, so you should come down. As Jin Jingfeng spoke, he raised his saber and swept it on the ceiling. Bang! The ceiling split open, and a figure blew away the wood shavings and floated down. She had beautiful cherry blossoms by her side, and she looked like a beauty who walked out of a painting. All the men around her were stunned. This woman was dressed in a purplish-red qipao. She had black hair, a pretty face, and long legs. She landed in front of everyone. You are... Even Kim Jingfeng could not help but be stunned when he saw such a beautiful woman. The chief of the martial arts community in China. As Murong Ying spoke, she flicked her finger, and the cherry blossom sword aura spun and surrounded her. Be careful, it's a vicious beauty. Kill her. Kim Jingfeng roared, and the remaining 8 people around him moved as well. Each of them wielded a saber and approached Murong Ying. Good timing. As Murong Ying spoke, she suddenly walked forward and flashed past a few Taiji warriors. Every time she flashed past them, her finger would tap on their chest. Blood spurted out from the backs of these Taiji warriors. The cherry blossoms pierced through their bodies and killed them all. What? Kim Jingfeng's face turned pale, and there was finally some fear in his eyes. This was the chief of the martial arts community of China? Her martial arts skills were actually this high? Could it be that they were the orthodox ones? No, the orthodox one was me, South Korea. I don't care what chief you are. As Kim Jong-fong spoke, he picked up his long saber and created a saber aura. Then he spun his saber and threw it at Murong-ing. However, Murong-ing struck her palm across the air, and Kim Jong-fong's saber immediately hovered in front of Murong-ing's palm, unable to descend. I've learned some saber techniques, but my internal energy skills are lacking. As Murong-ing spoke, she pushed with her palm, and Kim Jong-fong's saber broke into pieces. He was shocked, and Murong-ing's finger was already in front of his forehead. Kim Jong-fong knew that things were not looking good. Before he died, he roared into his earpiece. Bam! Kim Jong-fong's head exploded, and his body fell to the ground. However, Murong-ing looked out of the window with a slight frown. Without hesitation, she used her qinggong and jumped upstairs. Then, she grabbed Li Fan, who was still lying on the bed. "Io, my wife, I haven't slept well." Li Fan had just shouted when Murong-ing grabbed him and broke through the window, landing outside. Murong-ing used her qinggong and 8 steps, catching Cicada. She left the place quickly, leaving afterimages behind. Less than a minute after they left, a missile fell from the sky and landed. Boom! The place that was previously on fire was razed to the ground in the blink of an eye. Damn, are they sending us off with fireworks? Li Fan looked back and was shocked. Stop talking nonsense. Let's go. Murong-ing scolded. It's too late. Stop. The two of them looked back and saw a missile falling from the sky, landing not far away from them. Hold me tight. Li Fan hugged Murong-ing, and then his body emitted a golden light. Major 5 styles, true dragon golden body. The golden light enveloped the two of them, and the missile had already landed on the ground. A mushroom cloud rose into the sky, and the flames swept some, devouring everything. When the flames dissipated, Li Fan and Murong-ing stood in it, and Li Fan's expression was obviously not good. His internal energy was almost depleted, and he forced himself to use true dragon golden body again. This time, Li Fan's internal energy was exhausted. He touched his pocket and realized that he had eaten all the yuan rejuvenation pills. This time, it could be said that he had made a losing deal. Are you all right? Murong-ing placed her hand on Li Fan's wrist and touched it. His meridians were a little weak. It seemed that Li Fan's internal energy was very empty. All right, leave the rest to me. Murong-ing said and grabbed Li Fan. What are you doing? Li Fan asked her. Carrying you. Damn, I'm a man, how can I let you carry me? Cut the crap and come up. Chapter 1297. Murong-ing carried Li Fan all the way, as if she was riding on a cloud. She flew. Murong-ing's ability to read maps was extremely strong. With just a glance, she knew which direction to go. The two of them hurried all the way, as fast as lightning, But in front of Murong-ing, there were layers upon layers of troops. They guarded tightly, as if they didn't want anyone to escape. Io, look at them, the way they treat their guests is really good, they don't even want to let us go. Li Fan looked at the soldiers in all directions and couldn't help but laugh. You're still joking at a time like this? Murong-ing carried Li Fan on her back, looked around, and counted the formations of the troops here. They were all modern troops, tanks and cannons were everywhere, there were helicopters patrolling in the air, and from time to time, there were a few fighter jets flying over. Look at how lively they are looking for us. Li Fan still had a relaxed smile on his face, as if he didn't put these people in his eyes at all. Can't you restrain yourself a little? Murong-ing snorted. Is there nothing in this world that you're afraid of? That's not right, I'm also a human, of course I'm afraid. Li Fan immediately said. What are you afraid of? I'm afraid that something will happen to you. Glib tongue. Murong-ing seemed to be slightly blushing, not knowing if it was because of embarrassment or anger. How is it glib tongue? Look at how you're in trouble, didn't I rush over immediately? Li Fan said and patted Murong-ing's shoulder. It's not convenient to carry me here, put me down. What's the inconvenience? You're a man, Why are you so slow? Murong-ing looked into the distance. You came for me, I'll bring you out. I'm a man, why do I need your protection? Li Fan was also unhappy. Wasn't it just an empty inner force? He still had his legs and arms. There are soldiers everywhere in front. If you still have your inner force, you naturally can't stay here. But now that you have lost all your inner strength, it will take some time for you to recover. During this period of time, you will listen to me obediently. I won't listen. You have no choice but to listen. As Murong-ing spoke, she suddenly stretched out 2 fingers and touched Li Fan's neck. Li Fan's body was immediately immobilized. He widened his eyes and asked Murong-ing directly with his spiritual power. I learned this acupoint sealing technique from you. Murong-ing was a little proud, but my method is better than yours. I can lock all the meridians in your body. I reckon that you won't be able to move for the next 2 hours. Woman, are you suffering from severe masochism? Li Fan was enraged. How could this Murong-ing play such tricks? This woman either doesn't make a move, or when she does, it's a vicious move. He couldn't move or even speak for 2 hours. If not for the support of his mental strength, he would have suffocated to death. The way out has been sealed. Murong-ing sneered coldly as she looked at the blockade that stretched across the mountains and plains in front of her. I want to see if they can stop me, Murong-ing. Finished speaking, Murong-ing's feet bounced, displaying her qigong. She danced on the grass as light as the wind. The target has appeared. The defense line found the target. From afar, they saw Murong-ing wearing a purplish-red qipao. Carrying a young man on her back, she ran towards them like a gust of wind. Those 2 Chinese want to break through. Stop them. Cannon array. The defense line immediately launched an attack. Dozens of cannons aimed at Murong-ing's position and fired at the same time. But who was Murong-ing? Her footsteps were like a ghost. In a blink of an eye, she had already left the range of the cannons. No matter how many cannons locked onto Murong-ing, she was always able to escape at the first instant, rendering the soldiers at the defense line helpless. You're all useless. Can't you even kill 2 people? The commanding officer scolded his subordinates. They had so many elite troops, but now they had become decorations. The Viper has locked onto the target. The Viper has locked onto the target. An armed helicopter in the air aimed at Murong-ing. The 2 machine guns on the wings rotated, spitting out tongues of fire. Bullets swept towards Murong-ing like rain. Stupid! Murong-ing sneered. She dodged to the side, avoiding the terrifying rain of bullets. At the same time, she flicked her finger. A cherry blossom sword leaped into the air, pierced through the helicopter, and nailed the pilot's forehead. The pilot was dead. The helicopter fell to the ground uncontrollably and broke into pieces in the fire. Awesome! Li Fan praised. Stop flattering me. Although that was what Murong-ing said, there was a hint of happiness in her voice. The 2 of them safely passed through the defense line and arrived at the seaside. On the vast sea, there were only South Korean patrol boats. However, this was not a problem for Murong-ing. She walked on the waves without leaving a trace and moved forward. Murong-ing was extremely fast. Although the sea was wide, it could not stop Murong-ing's qigong. However, at that moment, a figure suddenly jumped down from a fishing boat at the side. His body was light, and he walked on the water as if it was flat ground. In a few steps, he arrived in front of Murong-ing. Wang Jian? Murong-ing furrowed her brows when she saw the man. Why you here? Murong-ing asked. I long time no see. Little sister Murong is still so beautiful. Wang Jian made a gesture with his thumb and middle finger and looked at Murong-ing. Li Fan felt a chill run down his spine. He would rather face Taizhu than face this guy. Sigh, speaking of which, I haven't seen Taizhu for a long time. I miss her. I hope she doesn't miss me. Cut the crap. Tell me your purpose. Murong-ing questioned. Aya, look at you. You're just a young lady. Why are you so fierce? Wang Jian rolled his eyes. You should learn from him. Be gentler so that men will like you. It's none of your business. If you don't tell me your purpose, get lost. You scared me to death. Wang Jian touched his chest. My little heart is beating so fast. What's the rush? Really? After Wang Jian finished, he pointed at Li Fan with his thumb and middle finger. I'm here for this silly boy. Damn, why is this guy looking for me again? Li Fan felt bitter in his mouth, and he wanted to curse. Look, you little sweetheart. Your eyes are so resentful. I miss you so much, hee, you motherfucker. If his acupuncture points were not sealed, Li Fan would have hit him. Why are you looking for him? Li Fan felt that Murong Ying's hand behind his back was hugging him a little tighter. Look at your distressed look. Sure enough, you are a happy sweetheart. Wang Jian sighed. Unfortunately, if I were a girl like you, it would be good. That way, I can personally serve that sweetheart behind you. Chapter 1298. What do you want him for? Murong Ying stared at Wang Jian, not knowing what he was thinking. Don't be so nervous, I just want to invite him to be my guest. Wang Jian took a handkerchief and gently wiped the lip gloss on his mouth. Look at you, how nervous you are. With me here, no one can touch him. Murong Ying said sarcastically, What, you want to fight me? The current alliance Master Murong is indeed at the prime of his life. Using words to describe a beautiful girl like you doesn't seem to be suitable. Wang Jian gently patted his cheek. People with smooth skin like us should be more gentle when speaking. Idiot. Murong Ying scolded and then turned around to leave. Bang. The sea surface in front of Murong Ying exploded, and the seawater soared into the sky, blocking her way. We just met. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Wang Jian said with a smile, holding a sword in his hand. Even if you want to leave, you have to leave my little enemy behind. Get lost while I'm still in a good mood. Murong Ying scolded, otherwise, I'll leave your life here. Look at you, such an impatient temper. I really don't know how Li Fan can stand you. You guessed it right. Murong Ying suddenly smiled. He really can't stand my temper. With that, Murong Ying put one hand behind Li Fan, and the other hand stretched out 2 fingers and pointed at Wang Jian. Wang Jian moved his body sideways, and the sword chi flew out from his side. The sea surface was divided into 2 sides, and then slowly filled up. The two stood on the sea surface, their feet stepping on the sea surface, neither rising nor sinking, staring at each other. Oh, to be honest, if possible, I really don't want to be enemies with you, little girl. Wang Jian said with a smile. However, a mission is a mission. I must bring this little enemy back today. Since that's the case, let's cut the crap. Murong Ying carried Li Fan on her back and summoned the cherry blossom war god. I'll lead the way myself. Oh my, the martial god's true body is not weak at all. Wang Jian seemed to be a little scared. Using this martial arts to scare me, I'm scared. Wang Jian said this, but his hand moved up. The lesser formless technique was also a divine technique. Following Wang Zhang's movement, 5 pillars of water immediately rose from the surface of the water. Like dragons and snakes, they shot toward Murong Ying. However, the cherry blossom war goddess waved her hand and shattered the dragon's snake water pillar. Flame palm. Murong Ying's eyes glowed red, while the cherry blossom war god's right hand was engulfed in flames as he slapped towards Wang Jian. Wang Zong stretched out his right hand and pushed in front of him. The flame palm stopped right in front of Wang Jian. It was actually controlled by his minor phaseless magic technique, and it stopped moving. Murong Ying furrowed her brows. Little girl, your martial arts are high, but it is still at the level of qi. Wang Jian chuckled. That old fart of yours comprehended in qi. Why didn't he teach you? Less nonsense. Look, you are still so fierce. I really don't know what little enemy likes about you. Wang Zun sighed. Your true energy is indeed outdated. As for me, I train in yang qi, which is a level higher than qi. Even without the martial god's true body, I can still fight with you. Hearing this, Li Fan's eyebrows jumped. Yang qi? It sounds very powerful. It seems to be the exact opposite of Murong's yin qi. Little sweetheart, little girl, with the intelligence of the two of you, you should have already guessed it, right? While controlling the cherry blossom war god's hand, Wang Jian said, this yang qi is the exact opposite of yin qi. These two types of power are originally trained by martial artists. In the past, the pugilistic world was divided into two factions, the Yang faction and the Yin faction. The two factions both thought that they were the orthodox of the pugilistic world. They competed and killed each other. In the end, the pugilistic world declined. Thus, the Yin and Yang Qi were lost. Later generations combined some of the incomplete parts and cultivated it into Qi. Since it was lost, why did you cultivate it? Hearing this, Murong could not help but ask. Other people might not know, but how could the emperor of the pugilistic world not know? Wang Jian's expression suddenly turned serious. In the pugilistic world, there has always been an emperor who is hereditary. The previous emperors all trained in Yang Qi. As for our emperor, Liao Ju, he also trained in Yang Qi. It has been passed down from generation to generation until today. Hey, your family's emperor is not doing well. At this moment, Li Fan had just recovered his ability to speak. He could not help but laugh. Living in the underground tomb circle seems to be very happy? You little sweetheart, you're finally willing to open your mouth and say something. I thought you were going to ignore me. Wang Jian looked at Li Fan with hidden bitterness. Li Fan immediately did not want to speak. Our emperor's body has not been very good. As a result, he can only recuperate below. As a matter of fact, these 2 years of recuperation is almost enough. It is time for the pugilistic world to change. In our pugilistic world, what else is worth changing? After listening, Li Fan curled his lips. Right now, in the pugilistic world, only my 7 Knights villa is left. Could it be that this Liao Ju wants to occupy my villa? How could our emperor be interested in a small villa? Your place is like a paradise. Let him live in a courtyard when he has nothing to do. Our emperor's ambition is the world, understand? My ambition is the universe. Li Fan rolled his eyes. Recently, I am preparing to establish a universe empire. I will be the first emperor of the empire, and you will be the chief of the inner palace. What do you think? Wang Jian laughed weirdly. I already said that you are a little enemy. Even at this time, you are still running your mouth. Others may not know the strength of our emperor, but don't tell me you are not clear. Now that our emperor has recovered all of his strength, he is only waiting for an auspicious day to come out of seclusion. Is he going to come out of seclusion or is he going to marry? Li Fan still ridiculed. Alright, when he comes out, I still want to fight with him. Let's see if his Yang Qi is stronger or my elemental Qi is stronger. Alright, I will send you to see him now. Don't even think about it. The cherry blossom sword Qi on Murong Ying's body became denser and denser. Soon, the cherry blossom war god slowly disappeared. Murong Ying's right arm condensed a powerful cherry blossom sword Qi, forming the shape of an arm. It is about 2 meters long and is covered with cherry blossom armor. At the same time, it is holding a cherry blossom longsword. From this sword Qi, Wang Jian felt an aura that surpassed true Qi. This is elemental Qi? As if he suddenly understood, he became puzzled. Strange, I thought that the two of you have done the deed between a man and a woman, but this little girl is obviously still a virgin. Girl, where did your elemental Qi come from? Chapter 1299. Right now, Murong Ying's body is mixed with a large amount of elemental energy, which was transferred into her by Li Fan when he was treating her. Originally, she also had some true Qi in her body, but along the way, it was almost consumed. These 2 months of treatment day and night made the elemental energy in Murong Ying's body even purer than that of imperial concubine Zhou and Lu Wan. Therefore, Wang Jian suspected that Li Fan and Murong Ying had an intimate relationship. Are you a concubine flower who left? After thinking for a long time, Wang Jian could only squeeze out such a sentence. You're courting death. Murong Ying's face turned crimson. It was unknown whether it was because of anger or embarrassment. She roared, and the cherry blossom sword in her right hand directly slashed down towards Wang Jian's head. Clang! Wang Jian used his minor phaseless divine technique to block, but this time it only blocked for a second or two. Then, Murong Ying's sword broke through his defense and slashed his sword. The sword entered the flesh, and blood splashed 3 steps away. Wang Jian's divine technique protected his body, but he was also seriously injured by this sword. If he had not used his hand to slap away Murong Ying's sword in time and dodged to the side, I'm afraid this time, he would have been cut in half. Io. Alliance leader, your sword is really powerful. Wang Jian's face was filled with lingering fear. I can't beat you, so I won't fight anymore. However, now that I'm gone, the next one who comes will be an even more powerful expert. Let them come. If one comes, I'll kill one. If 2 comes, I'll kill both. Murong Ying once again raised her cherry blossom sword. Wang Jian did not dare to delay. He split the waves and returned to the distant fishing boat in the blink of an eye. Murong Ying sneered. She carried Li Fan on her back and continued to walk on the waves, all the way back to the shore. After reaching the shore, Murong Ying threw Li Fan to the ground. Li Fan pretended to be in pain, rubbed his butt and said, "Woman, you're too much. You've just come ashore and you don't want to acknowledge your man anymore?" When did you become my man? Murong Ying snorted and glared at Li Fan. Is it because you've been living too comfortably recently that you're pushing your luck? I gave you an inch and you want a foot? I've had a lot in the past 2 months. Li Fan laughed heartily. Which part of your body have I not tasted before? Are you tired of living? Murong Ying raised her eyebrows, and the vital energy in her body also rose. Look, we're husband and wife. Why don't you remember our relationship? They're just engaged. Murong Ying turned her head away, refusing to look at Li Fan. We're already living together, how can it be called unmarried? I say, as the saying goes, a day as husband and wife means 100 days of kindness. We've been friends for hundreds of days, right? Your words are vulgar, you deserve a beating. Murong Ying raised her palm, but Li Fan very calmly opened his arms and stuck out his chest, as if letting Murong Ying hit him. Looking at Li Fan's weak appearance, Murong Ying hesitated and withdrew her hand. If I hit you now, people will laugh at me for bullying the weak. When you're better, we'll fight again. Hey, we're husband and wife, why do you always want to hit me? Although we're husband and wife in name, we're not husband and wife in reality. We can't be considered husband and wife. Isn't that simple? Li Fan laughed. If you want to be husband and wife, I can do it anytime. I think you're just asking for a beating. Murong Ying raised her hand again, but after thinking for a moment, she put it down again. Come on, hit me, the harder the better. However, Li Fan urged him instead. Are you sick? Why are you asking for a beating? Murong Ying was baffled. That's right, isn't there a saying that goes? Hitting is love, scolding is love. The harder you hit me, the deeper your feelings for me are. Murong Ying raised her palm for the 3rd time, and the flame condensed on her palm. If this flame palm were to hit her, it would probably take her life. But after clenching her teeth for a long time, she still put her hand down. What do you want? Pervert. Murong Ying was somewhat flustered and exasperated. How can you scold your own husband as a pervert? You shouldn't do that. Nonsense. If you talk nonsense again, I'll tear your mouth. Come on, I can't ask for more. Li Fan simply lay down on the ground and made a pose, looking like a rascal. You this guy. Murong Ying couldn't do anything to Li Fan. Don't call me wife in the future. I've broken off all ties with you. Murong Ying snorted coldly. Hey, didn't I say that when a husband and wife fight, they fight at the head of the bed and reconcile at the end? No. Not husband and wife. Don't you already have Xiao, Ai, Xiao Wan, Imperial Concubine Zhou and so on? I've heard about them. Hey, it seems that you still care about my affairs. Who cares about you? That's it, I'm going back. Where are you going? Li Fan asked. Murong's villa. There's nothing to go back to. Li Fan asked tentatively, how about coming back to my 7 nights villa with me? Li Fan, let me ask you. Murong Ying didn't answer Li Fan, but asked him, if one day, a woman comes and you like her, she will tell you to give up all your property and the 7 nights villa. Then, she told you to give up all of your properties, give up on the 7 Chivalry Villa, and watch as the 7 Chivalry Villa was slowly devoured by others and slowly declined. As for you, you will follow her into the world. Are you willing? Li Fan was really stumped. He had poured too much effort into the 7 Knights Villa, and this villa was shouldering a great responsibility. It was impossible for Li Fan to abandon it for a girl. Wouldn't that make him a man who coveted beauty? You can't answer, can you? Murong Ing snorted coldly. Only you, Li Fan, can shoulder the justice, and I, Murong Ing, should abandon my family and property to go with you? Li Fan, if you really think so, then I, Murong Ing, will look down on you. So, what do you think I should do? Li Fan also became serious. He jumped up from the ground and looked at Murong Ing in front of him. The woman I like, can't I just watch her go? You really like me? Murong Ing suddenly asked. Of course it's true. How could I lie at a time like this? Li Fan felt that he had never been so serious. If you really like me, that's enough. Murong Ing suddenly smiled. What do you mean? Now the martial arts world is in turmoil. If you and I are still alive after 20 years, then I will come to you again. Murong Ing said and turned to leave. Damn, 20 years, isn't it too long? Li Fan was dissatisfied and shouted. Hearing this, Murong Ing immediately stopped and looked back at Li Fan. What, do you think I am old and faded? That's not it, Li Fan said. Besides, with your martial arts, even if you are 40 years old, you will still look 18 or 19. Just what? Chapter 1300. But what? Murong Ing looked at Li Fan with a questioning look. But, as you said, there are too many variables in Jianghu. Li Fan pondered for a moment and then said, You and I don't know how long we can live. 20 years, I'm afraid I can't wait that long. Life and death are predestined. Murong Ing was more open-minded than Li Fan. She tied up her hair again. Let's talk about it when the time comes. I'm leaving. With that, Murong Ing left an afterimage and quickly left Li Fan's line of sight. She came and went like the wind, as if she had never appeared. This woman, there's no one else like her. Li Fan patted the dust on his body. His internal force had also recovered a little. As long as he found a place to meditate and adjust his breathing, he could slowly recover. This kind of woman can only be found in the heavens. It's hard to find one in the mortal world. A voice came into Li Fan's ear. He turned his head and saw that it was none other than Wang Zheng, who had previously escaped far away. Li Fan immediately became vigilant, but his face was as usual. Instead, he put his hands in his pocket and looked at Wang Zheng. What, my chief steward, have you thought it through and come to report to me? I also want to follow you, but who told you to be a little inexperienced? Wang Zheng covered his mouth and giggled. The laughter made Li Fan's hair stand on end. His back was drenched in cold sweat. I'm still inexperienced? Li Fan curled his lips. Then, in your eyes, what does it mean to be successful? Little sweetheart, since you asked me, I'll tell you. Wang Zheng said unhurriedly, if you want to be inexperienced, you must at least be able to defeat our majesty first. This is not difficult. Li Fan stretched his body. If I can't win today, it doesn't mean that I can't win tomorrow. Sooner or later, I'll flatten him. You said it yourself. It's just a matter of time. Wang's was said with a smile, but you can't do that now. You'd better come with me and meet His Majesty. What if I don't go? Li Fan asked. At the same time, he glanced outside. Then I can only use force. As Wang Zai spoke, he directly used his grappling hand to grab Li Fan. However, Li Fan stretched out his hand and the seawater beside him suddenly churned. Next, a water sword was sucked up by Li Fan and it instantly arrived before Wang Jian. Wang Jian waved his hand and single-handedly shattered Li Fan's dragon-subduing sword. With your current inner force, it's impossible. As soon as Wang Duo finished speaking, his eyes suddenly widened. Li Fan plunged into the sea. Wang Zong didn't dare to hesitate. He quickly chased after them and jumped into the sea. The seawater was so cold that it pierced into his bones. The seawater on the shore was extremely turbid. Wang Zong couldn't see the direction clearly in the water, let alone find Li Fan. He flopped in the water for a long time. Finally, helpless, he jumped out and landed on the shore. This little enemy, Wang Jian sighed, he's actually so cunning. He had no other way. It was useless to wait here. Li Fan's swimming ability should be good. In the vast sea, who knows where he would swim to? It seems that this time, I'll be punished by His Majesty again. He turned around and left. About half an hour later, a figure suddenly separated from the sea and jumped back up. This person was none other than Li Fan. After eating a dragon, he was like a fish in the water. As for Li Fan's previous cultivation of occlusive qi technique, he could persist underwater for a longer time. After diving for half an hour, Li Fan estimated that Wang Jian should have left. Only then did he jump back up to the surface. Motherfucker, making me jump back into the water. Li Fan used his internal force to dry the water on his body. Wait until I recover. When I meet him again, see if I won't beat his nose crooked. Li Fan had nowhere to go for the time being. He didn't have any money on him. His phone was also broken in the water. However, Li Fan still had to eat and sleep. At the moment, he had to get some money and food. After eating, he would get the travel expenses to return to the Seven Knights Villa. But he was penniless. He couldn't possibly beg on the street. Li Fan glanced at the seaside town and thought about the travel expenses. I don't know where this is. Is there a branch of our escort agency? Li Fan thought for a moment. He was still thinking of a plan. Although he had martial arts, he couldn't possibly go to the streets to perform. When he was at his wit's end, he suddenly saw a group of people wearing white Taoist robes. There were about a dozen of them. They gathered together and aggressively walked toward the other side of the street. Li Fan raised his eyebrows. What's going on? For a moment, he forgot the hunger in his stomach. He couldn't help but be curious and directly followed them. These people walked across the street and directly broke into a martial arts club on the opposite side. Li Fan stood across the street and looked at it. The name of this martial arts club was Song Family Martial Arts Club. Song Family Martial Arts Club? Li Fan muttered. He didn't seem to have heard of this martial arts club. Okay, I have nothing to do anyway. Let's go and watch the fun. Li Fan thought for a moment. He seemed to be a little popular now. If he just went like this, it was hard to guarantee that he wouldn't be recognized. He immediately used Aberration Bone Swap, changing his appearance slightly and hiding his original appearance. The current Li Fan looked like an ordinary thin boy. There was nothing special about him. Li Fan said that his martial arts was really good. It was really convenient. When Li Fan walked into this Song Family Martial Arts Club, he saw these people surrounding a girl in the same Taoist costume. The girl looked about 18 or 19 years old. She was wearing a gray Taoist costume and was a little thin. Her appearance was delicate and pretty, and her figure was graceful and graceful. She seemed to be unsuitable for the path of martial arts. However, she was surrounded by these people. There was no fear on her face. Instead, she was calm and composed. I don't know you. Why did you come to my martial arts club to make trouble? The girl was alone, but she shouted at the people opposite her. Ah, she! The leader of the group couldn't help but scold and then pointed at the girl's nose. You silly girl, are you playing dumb with me? You guys, this is my territory. You'd better be polite. The girl's face was like a peach blossom with thorns. How dare you talk to me like this? You're quite bold. No wonder you dare to compete with me. The leader scolded. Today, I will smash your martial arts club. You guys are too lawless. The girl was so angry that she gritted her teeth and glared at the people in front of her. Lawless? Let me tell you, we foreigners have preferential treatment here. The leader of the group laughed. Let me tell you, you can't compete with us. You guys are too much. There is more to come. Today, I will teach you a lesson and let you know the pain. Chapter 1301. I'll let you know pain. After the leader of the Koreans finished speaking, a fat man beside him took a step forward, raised his leg, turned around, and kicked straight at the girl's chest. In Li Fan's eyes, This kick was merciless. The girl looked like an ordinary martial arts master. If she was kicked, she would be seriously injured even if she did not die. However, the girl was not afraid. She leaned to the side and nimbly avoided the fat man's kick. At the same time, her fist was like a bell, hammering the fat man's chest. Although the fat man's chest was thick, the girl's fist hammered right on his heart. The pain made the fat man's vision turn black. He took 2 steps back and sat on the ground. Li Fan could not help but want to clap his hands. The girl's movement and hammering were so beautiful that people could not help but praise her. The girl's fist technique had a vague feeling of Hong Quan, but it was also a little different. Li Fan was curious. What kind of kung fu was this? Asiba. The leader could not help but curse. He gave his companion a kick and lifted him up from the ground. Useless, you can't even subdue a little girl. The leader of the Koreans was very angry. He was here to show off, not to embarrass himself. He waved his hand and ordered the person on his left. Dongwit, you go. Don't let me down. Don't worry, brother. I promise I'll make this girl cry and apologize. Next to him was a man with dyed golden hair. He rubbed his fists and slowly walked toward the girl. Come on, you shameless bastards. The young girl still had no fear on her face, as if these things were nothing to her. The golden retriever jumped in front of the girl and kicked her in the face. The girl was quite calm. She took a horse stance and slightly bent her knees. The moment the golden retriever kicked, she avoided his calf. Then, the girl suddenly pushed upwards, and with another push, the golden-haired man's body was sent flying. Bang! Ouch! The golden retrievers but split into 8 pieces. He grimaced in pain and groaned. Useless! All of you are useless! The leader scolded angrily. This girl has some skills. Let's attack her together. The Bangzi all pounced forward, fighting to be the first to attack the young girl. The girl dealt with a few blows, but she soon couldn't hold on any longer and was surrounded and beaten up by a few sticks. Little girl, I'll break all your bones today. Let's see how you're going to teach others martial arts. The leader was laughing proudly, but at this time, a figure suddenly walked out from the side. He put his hands in his pockets, raised his foot, and kicked the body of a stick. The stick flew out and fell on the ground like a dog eating shit. The leader was taken aback. He turned around and saw a skinny youth standing beside him with one leg raised. As he lowered his leg, he wiped the dust off his pants. Brathor, are you courting death? The leader looked at Li Fan angrily. Friend. The girl slowly got up and said to Li Fan, hurry up and leave, this has nothing to do with you. You can't say that. We are all martial artists. How can I not care about you? Li Fan stretched out his hand and helped the girl up. You're also a martial artist? Hearing this, the girl was a little surprised. Li Fan nodded. Hello, senior brother. The girl endured the pain and cupped her hands at Li Fan. May I ask which family do you practice? I practice the 7 Gallant Fist. Li Fan thought for a moment and decided to use his family's name. So it's the 7 Gallant Fist that has been popular all over the country recently. Sorry for not recognizing you. The girl cupped her hands at Li Fan again. Don't be so polite. We are all martial artists. There's no need to be so polite. You two are still chatting. You're too careless. The leader was furious. I don't care who you are. You're just a bunch of flowery but impractical moves. Lie down. He had never taken the so-called Chinese martial arts seriously. The so-called Chinese martial arts were not orthodox at all. Their Bangzi martial arts were the real powerful ones. He glanced at his companions and was ready to attack both of them at the same time. Ha, you guys are quite good at ganging up. Li Fan's sarcasm made the leader even angrier. The group of people fiercely pounced on Li Fan again, but Li Fan laughed. Ha, a bunch of idiots. Good timing. Li Fan said, advancing instead of retreating. A Bangzi had already arrived in front of him. He turned around and kicked Li Fan's face with a whirlwind kick. However, Li Fan was even faster. Before his opponent could kick him, he kicked out even faster. It was as if he had stabbed out a spear and directly stabbed into Bangzi's chest. Li Fan didn't use his primordial chi, but the kick was enough to make the other party suffer. He kicked the other party away again. The man slid far away and fell to the ground. He was in so much pain that he couldn't get up for a long time. However, another Bangzi's leg had already arrived in front of Li Fan. Li Fan stretched out a hand, grabbed the Bangzi's ankle in his hand, and at the same time, punched the Bangzi in the back of the leg. The Bangzi screamed and knelt on the ground, holding his knees. Another Bangzi roared at Li Fan and pounced in front of him. Li Fan held his tiger claw and dug into the Bangzi's chest. Shit! A large piece of the Bangzi's clothes was torn, and his chest was bleeding nonstop. It was very frightening. What kind of kung fu is this? The leader watched his companions being knocked down one by one and was so scared that his face turned livid. It's the kung fu that beats dogs. As Li Fan spoke, he suddenly appeared in front of him. Wait a minute. Before the leader could finish his words, Li Fan had already raised his foot and kicked him in the chest. Bam! The leader was instantly kicked out. In the blink of an eye, he flew more than 10 meters away and then heavily hit the wall behind him. He immediately spat out a mouthful of bitter water, feeling extremely painful. Get out of here while I'm in a good mood. Li Fan kicked the Bangzi lying next to him. You dare to hit us? The golden-haired guy from before shouted at Li Fan, You're too bold. So what if I hit you? This is my Chinese territory. Do you think you can be so presumptuous here? Li Fan raised his leg high and chopped this guy's head, directly knocking him out. Let me tell you, if you dare to cause trouble in the future, I'll beat you up every time I see you. These Bangzi were afraid. They dejectedly slipped out of the dojo with their injured companions. Thank you. The young girl was very grateful and cupped her hands toward Li Fan. Well, I've already said that you don't need to be polite. Li Fan smiled. The Chinese martial artists are all from the same sect, so we should help each other. AI, if only everyone was like you. The young girl bitterly smiled. I wouldn't have such a hard time. Chapter 1302. What do you mean? Li Fan looked at the girl. When my father was here, this dojo was flourishing and had many apprentices. Supported by Li Fan, the girl sat on a chair at the side. Looking at the empty hall, she sighed, but since my father passed away, the surrounding dojos have been throwing stones at me while I'm down, provoking me time and time again. Not only did they snatch away all the apprentices, a few days ago, they suddenly sent a student over, saying that he admires my fist technique and wants to learn here. In the end, that person disappeared after practicing for a day, and then these Koreans came. So that's how it is. Hearing this, Li Fan's heart turned cold. They actually attracted outsiders to deal with their own people. Really, they should be punished. I see that you're not that old. You should still be studying in university? Li Fan asked. Yes, but in order to manage the dojo left by my father, I have already taken a leave of absence. The girl sighed. Unfortunately, my practice is not good enough. Until now, I have only learned 10% of my father's strength. I see that your martial arts is not bad, Li Fan said, but I don't know what kind of martial arts you practice. Oh, I practice Taizu long fist. Sorry for making you laugh. The girl was a little embarrassed. Taizu long fist? So it's this set of martial arts. Li Fan suddenly realized that this Taizu long fist was a martial art created by Zhao Kuangin. It had a great influence on the later Hong Quan and Taiji fist. It was nicknamed the mother of all fists. This is not martial arts. The difference is too big. Hey, you don't have to say it like that. Practicing martial arts takes time. You're still so young, maybe you will make great progress in the future. Thank you, senior brother, for your auspicious words. The girl said so, but her expression was a little lonely. She alone was responsible for such a big dojo. The pressure was not small. Today, thank you, senior brother, for your help. In the future, if senior brother needs help, I will naturally help to repay the kindness. Hey, no need for the future. I have something I need your help with now. Li Fan smiled bitterly. Senior brother, don't say that. Ha, look at how old we are. I won't stand on ceremony then. Junior sister, lend me your phone. Oh, okay. The girl went to get the phone for Li Fan. Li Fan called Xia Ho and asked her to send someone to pick him up. He was penniless and didn't even have a bank card. If he walked back to the villa, it wouldn't be near. It will take a day or two for the person to pick me up to arrive. Why don't I stay here and learn junior sister's Taizu fist? What's wrong with that? Senior brother's 7 heroes fist is already very powerful, yet you still want to learn my mediocre skills. You're really flattering me. No, Taizu is also profound. It is the mother of all fists. No, Taizu fist is the mother of all fists. Then senior brother can stay here for a few days. My place is big anyway. The girl looked delicate, but her personality was quite forthright, and she had the demeanor of a child of the pugilistic world. I haven't asked for senior brother's name yet. I'm Li Ren. Li Fan made up a name. Brother Li, I'm Song Ying. You can treat this place as your home. As Song Ying spoke, she stood up and bowed to Li Fan. However, my martial arts are shallow. Please give me some pointers, Brother Li. Why are you so polite? You can learn martial arts. But I feel that you are more like a hero than a little girl. These words made Song Ying blush. Only then did she reveal a little bit of the demeanor of a little girl. My dad said that too. He said I won't be able to get married in this life. No, there are a lot of boys who like you. You can fight on the battlefield and get off the bed. Li Fan suddenly choked. He was used to joking with Lu Wan and the others at home, so he couldn't help but blurt it out. That was why there was a saying, trouble comes from the mouth. Song Ying blushed even more. I thought Brother Li was a good person, but it turns out you have such a glib tongue. It's my fault, but let's not talk so old-fashioned, it makes us both look old. Okay, then Brother Li, what do you want to eat? I'll treat you. That's not very good, Li Fan said that, but his stomach growled. See, you're still so stubborn. Song Ying laughed. Brother Li, what do you like to eat? You're not from here, right? Do you have any favorite food? I'm fine with anything. Let Brother Li eat his fill first. Song Ying pointed to the dojo next to her. When the time comes, Brother Li, please give me some pointers. The day after tomorrow is the Seaside League. I know I can't get first place, but at least I'll be in the top 8. It's also a promotion. Seaside League? What's that? Li Fan had never heard of such a league. We're in Haiban City, the culture of martial arts is quite strong. Here, almost every child will come to the dojo to learn martial arts when they reach a certain age. Therefore, every year, the city will hold a martial arts league. It's a kind of culture here. I see. Then I really want to go and join in the fun. Li Fan's habit of being a busybody was acting up again. Brother Li, you're so good, don't you want to give it a try? Song Ying asked while ordering a meal on her phone. I'll just watch the fun. If I really want to go on stage, then forget it. Li Fan laughed. Our 7 Heroes dojo has its rules. You can't be ruthless and brave when practicing this martial arts. That's a good rule. Song Ying seemed to be a little envious. If only all martial artists could be like the 7 Heroes sect. By the way, I heard that if you go to the 7 Heroes villa, you can also learn superior internal martial arts. Oh, are you talking about the 7 Heroes force? Li Fan laughed. This internal martial art is indeed good, but I'm not qualified enough. I can't learn it for now. That's a pity. I wanted to be thick-skinned and ask. You really can't. Li Fan said, Song Ying, you only know that internal martial arts is good, but do you know that there's a martial arts ban in the pugilistic world? I think I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is. This martial arts ban is against internal martial arts. Li Fan explained. The government has a rule that ordinary people are not allowed to practice internal martial arts. If you don't practice internal martial arts, it's fine if you only practice your fists and legs. At most, it's considered a martial arts exercise to strengthen your body. But if you practice internal martial arts, you'll be considered a martial artist. As the saying goes, heroes use martial arts to break the law. The government doesn't want this to happen. So if you practice internal martial arts, you'll be the government's enemy. Why is there such a rule? What era are we in? Song Ying seemed a little scared. Then Brother Li. Chapter 1303. I also heard about it. Li Fan hurriedly said, in this world, the only people who are able to cultivate internal energy and remain safe and sound are those who enter the Seven Heroes Villa. So, the Seven Knights Villa is a refuge? Well, you can say it like that. Li Fan thought about it and felt that what this little girl said was right. His original intention of establishing the Seven Knights Villa was to create a refuge to protect the people of Jianghu. As long as there was the Seven Knights Villa, no one would dare to touch the martial artists. But later, he had another idea, which was to build a military station for China to block the invading enemies at a critical time. I really envy you. In the future, you can go to the Seven Knights Villa to practice internal energy. The little girl enviously looked at Li Fan. If you really want to go, you can also go to the villa. Li Fan introduced, the villa accepts new members every June. With your talent, there should be no problem. No, I have to take care of the Song Clan Martial Arts School. Before my father passed away, he told me that I must pass down the fist technique of the Song Clan Martial Arts School. Yes, but letting a girl like you take care of such a big martial arts school is indeed a bit heavy. Humph, Brother Li, you are valuing men over women. Song Ying seemed a bit unhappy. No, I am just a bit worried about you. No matter if it is a man or a woman, it is still too little to support a martial arts school alone. It is too busy inside and outside. It is okay, the number of people will slowly increase. Song Ying was very optimistic. No matter how difficult it is, I can persevere. Won't you feel tired? I will, but this is my responsibility. Song Ying confidently said, although our Song Clan Martial Arts School is not very big, it has been passed down from generation to generation. Even during the Red Decade, the martial arts school did not collapse. The hard work of these several generations cannot be ruined by me. Is it really that important? Li Fan could not help but ask. Looking at Song Ying, he could not help but think of a person. Have you never thought of leaving the martial arts school and doing something you like? How can we do that? Isn't that shirking our responsibilities? Song Ying stretched lazily. She was very flirtatious and could cause one's imagination to run wild. But sometimes, the responsibility is not what you want, but is imposed on you by others. There's no need to do it, right? Li Fan could not help but speak his mind. You are still a bit of a male chauvinist. When Song Ying heard this, she couldn't help but roll her eyes at Li Fan. Also, your way of thinking is too selfish. It's completely self-indulgent. It's all my family's business. I don't care. Do you think I can just throw it to an outsider? Sorry. I didn't mean it that way. I just have a friend who feels the same way as you. Although my way of thinking might be a little traditional, ordinary people have to take responsibility, let alone martial artists like us. Alright, I might have said too much. Li Fan quickly apologized. Please don't blame me, Miss Song. Didn't you just say not to be old-fashioned? Now you're speaking in a genteel manner again. Song Ying couldn't help but cover her mouth and chuckle. All right, the food is almost here. We are all martial artists. What do you want to say? Let's eat and talk. Okay, I'm also hungry. Very quickly, the food delivery man brought the food over. He thought it would be fried rice with rice, but he didn't expect it to be a copper pot. In addition, there were seasonings, ingredients, meat, and so on. It was a whole big box. Brother Li, I don't have any other hobbies, but I like to eat hot pot. Usually I can't eat it alone, but today I can eat it with you. Okay, I also haven't eaten hot pot for a long time. Li Fan was really a bit hungry. Seeing the table full of meat, his heart was even more hungry. Come on, Brother Li, don't be polite with me. Song Ying had already prepared the copper pot. She stuffed the charcoal and added the meat to cook. After being outside for so long, eating fast food every day, I'm craving hot pot. Then don't be polite. Hearing Brother Li's voice, you should be from the Northeast. I specially ordered charcoal hot pot, it should suit your taste. Charcoal hot pot is similar, but this meat, it's different. How is the meat different? Song Ying was a bit curious. Our meat is cut thickly. Li Fan explained. Usually when you come to a hot pot restaurant, you will first order a plate of hand-cut lamb or beef brain. When you heat it in the spicy pot, the taste is indescribable. But this southern meat, the meat is thin and juicy. Although it's easier to absorb the flavor, I still like the northeast way of eating. What's so difficult about that? Hearing that, Song Ying rolled her eyes and smiled. I'll go buy some lamb, we can cut 2 catties. No need, no need. It's good enough as long as there's food. Li Fan looked at Song Ying's tomboy manner and couldn't help but laugh. Look at your tone, it's like a boy, which man would dare to like you? You're right about that. Song Ying became proud. In the past, there were many boys who chased me, but I beat them away. Li Fan was a bit speechless. Is this even possible? How can you find a boyfriend like this? Find a boyfriend for what? Song Ying happily ate the meat. It's so boring. I might as well train my martial arts. Since Miss Song likes martial arts so much, why don't we have a match now? How do we compete now? Come, I put a beef meatball in it. Li Fan pointed at the beef meatball in the pot. The beef meatball was already cooked and was flipped over, rolling in the pot. What's wrong? Look at your stingy face, put a few more. Li Fan smiled and explained, No, look, there's only one beef meatball. You and I will use chopsticks to snatch this beef meatball, let's see who gets it first. Okay, let's compete. Li Fan looked at Song Ying and couldn't help but mutter, You're really a tomboy. So what if I'm a tomboy? What's the difference between a tomboy and a gentle girl? Song Ying couldn't help but ask. How do I say this? Let me ask you a question. When you take a bath and rub the mud, do you like to rub the arm first or the leg first? Nonsense, of course I like to rub the arm first. Why, does the gentle girl rub the leg first? Song Ying asked. No. The gentle girl would say, I don't have any mud on me. Song Ying endured for a long time and finally said, Let's eat the meatball. Song Ying said as her chopsticks reached for the beef meatball. Li Fan also took out his chopsticks and knocked Song Ying's chopsticks away. It's not that easy to eat beef meatball. Chapter 1304. The chopsticks of the two of them collided several times in a row. The two of them did not look like they were hitting their chopsticks, but more like they were competing in swordsmanship, testing each other's eyesight and reflexes. Although they did not use their internal force, Li Fan's reflexes were still a cut above the others, causing Song Ying to be in a difficult situation. Song Ying, you still need to practice this technique. Li Fan said with a smile. His 2 chopsticks suddenly poked out, directly hitting the tip of Song Ying's chopsticks, causing them to fly out. Song Ying was taken aback and did not recover for a long time. Soon, she became excited and said to Li Fan, Your kung fu is not bad, quickly teach me. This is a kung fu for eating, you also need to learn it. When Li Fan heard this, he was immediately happy. Of course, eating is also a kung fu, one is never too old to learn. Actually it's nothing, it's just a kind of reflexes. Reflexes? It seems like it's more than that? Song Ying felt that there was something else. Not bad, you can even see that. Li Fan laughed. Actually the most important point is that I am already familiar with your moves. I can clearly see your every move, including when your chopsticks hit, from which direction, and where you want to stab me. This is so powerful? Song Ying was surprised. This is to see other people's flaws, this seems to be very difficult to master. It's a bit difficult. Li Fan nodded. What you need is a lot of actual combat experience. Oh? That is to say, Brother Li, you often fight? It's okay. Li Fan almost exposed himself. I don't have any other hobbies, but I like to fight. If I don't fight for a day, I will be itching. The more I fight, the more experience I will have. That's great, let's learn from each other and hone my martial arts. Okay, I will try my best to train you. What did you say? Song Ying's eyes were fixed on Li Fan. I will do my best to train with you. That's good. I didn't treat you to hot pot in vain. When Song Ying heard about martial arts, she was very happy. Li Fan muttered to himself. This was indeed not a decent girl. After the two of them finished eating, they began to compete in martial arts. Song Ying's Taizu fist was indeed not bad, but it was still lacking in maturity. Furthermore, her ability to adapt to the situation was not strong. Her moves were slightly inflexible, and she often did not know how to be flexible. Song Ying, when you practice the single wing spread of the phoenix and the double forward punch, it's very rigid and not smooth enough. The changes between these two moves are too great. If I were to link them together, it would definitely be very stiff. You have to learn to be flexible. Li Fan gave her a pointer. The move is dead, but the person is alive. You pay too much attention to your moves, which is why you only pay attention to the surface. That's why you're inferior. That makes sense, but it's not easy to change your years of martial arts practice, right? It's not easy to change, but martial arts practice is not something that can be done in a day. As long as you develop a good habit, you'll be fine. Li Fan stood on the training ground and waved at Song Ying. Come, I'll demonstrate. All right, brother Li, take this. Song Ying did not hold back. She stepped forward and attacked Li Fan, sending a kick straight at Li Fan's chest. This kick was called the puncture kick. It was fast and fierce, a common move used by martial arts practitioners. However, Li Fan used the single wing spread of the phoenix to deflect Song Ying's kick. At the same time, he flipped his body and followed up with a double forward punch, kicking Song Ying away. Song Ying was a little surprised. This attack and defense worked together seamlessly, and she almost fell to the ground. What a good brother Li! His skills were indeed elegant. If only she had his skills. I didn't expect brother Li to learn it so quickly after seeing my Taizu fist. Moreover, you can use it freely. It seems like you're even better than me. Learning to put to use. Li Fan laughed. Actually, you can do it too. You just need to practice more. It's said that the 7 Heroes fist has 7 fist techniques. I wonder which one brother Li specializes in? Li Fan thought for a moment but did not know how to answer. The 7 Heroes fist was originally created by him. The 7 martial arts were very balanced. There was no one strongest, but naturally, no one was the weakest. Li Fan thought for a moment and casually made up a lie. My strongest technique is the crane strike technique. Among the 7 martial arts, the crane strike is the most gentle and does not carry any killing intent. Crane strike? Isn't it beautiful when we fight? Of course. Li Fan laughed out loud. This crane strike technique of mine focuses on elegance and defense. When I use it, it doesn't look good. But when it's used by a woman, it looks like a graceful fairy dancing. However, if you want to master the 7 Heroes fist, you must learn our 7 Heroes sex superior inner strength martial art, the 7 Heroes force. Otherwise, you'll only have a superficial understanding of it. Just a superficial understanding is already very powerful. Song Ying was a little envious. Brother Li, how long have you been practicing? It's been a few years, around 3 years. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you talking? Brother Li, you really like to joke. Song Ying rolled her eyes at Li Fan. I've been practicing for at least 10 years, but I'm not as good as you. I've said it before. I fight a lot. Li Fan laughed dryly. How about this? I'll show you my crane strike. Let's see if it can enlighten you. Sure. Song Ying was happy again. Don't go easy on me. Hey, come on. How could Li Fan not go easy on her? Otherwise, he would have sent her flying out the door. There was still a gap between a martial master and a martial fighter. It would be far from enough if she only knew external martial arts and not inner martial arts. Brother Li, don't look down on me. Song Ying was much more vigilant this time. She attacked quickly, trying to beat Li Fan. But Li Fan saw through her weakness. With a crane strike, he swatted away Song Ying's fist. Song Ying was not satisfied. She shook her fist again. At the same time, she bent her knees and lowered her body. She raised her palm, aiming for Li Fan's chin. Good timing. Li Fan's expression was normal. He did not even dodge. His left hand came from the side and swept Song Ying's wrist. Bam! Song Ying's palm missed again. She gritted her teeth and took the stance of Taizu fist. She attacked Li Fan fiercely. But Li Fan relied on the crane hand, and every time Song Ying attacked, Song Ying could not do anything to him, and could not even touch the hem of his clothes. Annoying. Song Ying finally could not sit still. She jumped back and looked at Li Fan angrily. Why are you only defending? Are you looking down on me? Chapter 1305. Seeing Li Fan only defending and not attacking, Song Ying was quite unhappy. Martial arts competition is to fight back and forth. This is too boring. Alright, it's my fault. Li Fan hurriedly apologized. Then how about this, I'll start attacking now, what do you think? That's how it should be. Song Ying was a little happy. My family's Taizu fist is not that bad, it can be considered as both offensive and defensive. Come, let's fight again. With that, Song Ying took another step towards Li Fan. This time her speed was a bit faster. The Taizu fist in her hands was full of vigor, making Li Fan want to praise it. Truly a woman who refused to admit defeat, her character was really similar to Murong Ying's. Strange, why am I thinking about that woman Murong Ying again? Didn't I say that I won't think about her for the time being? Really too embarrassing. While Li Fan was slightly stunned, Song Ying suddenly appeared in front of him, then her elbow already hit Li Fan's lower abdomen. Li Fan was hit to the point of retreating a step. Because he was afraid of hurting Song Ying, he had already held back his true chi. Not good. Song Ying was not happy. You deliberately let me. My great aunt, you said that I was only focused on defense when you couldn't hit me. What do you want me to do if you say that I let you hit me? Li Fan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Don't think that I can't see that you were distracted just now. Oh? How so? Hearing this, Li Fan raised his eyebrows. She could even see this. Humph, this is what my father taught me. Song Ying proudly crossed her arms, looking at Li Fan. My father said that when competing with others, the lowest technique is to see the opponent's move, the middle technique is to look at the opponent's shoulder. No matter what move the opponent makes, the shoulder will move first, allowing one to be prepared early. But this high technique. What is high technique? The best way is to look at a person's eyes. Song Ying acted like a dojo instructor. She put her hands behind her back and shook her head. She looked very cute. No matter what kind of expert you are, no matter how fast you attack, before you attack, you must look at the part of my body that you want to attack. As long as he stared into your eyes, he would naturally know what you were thinking. And just now, your eyes were misty. You were obviously distracted. Admirable. Even Li Fan couldn't help but cup his fists after hearing this. Your father is indeed a great master. It's a pity that I can't meet him. What a pity. Humph, of course my father is powerful. Song Ying was very happy, as if she was the one who was awesome. But the eyes can be deceiving. Li Fan closed his eyes. If I close my eyes, how will you see it? Are you kidding? How are you going to fight me if I close my eyes? If you don't believe me, feel free to come. Li Fan closed his eyes. He could sense the enemy in 3 ways. The first type, which was relatively low level, was mental energy. The second type was to spread chi throughout the whole body. When the opponent's attack was about to land on his body, his chi would be the first to sense it. As for the third type, it was somewhat mysterious. Li Fan's practice gradually reached the peak. Just like what he said, as long as the opponent made a move, he would be able to sense the opponent's next move. There were only a few people in this world who could practice to the state that Li Fan was in. Even Murong Ying couldn't do it. Currently, only people like Liao Ju and Imperial Concubine Zhou could do it. Song Ying didn't believe it. She lightened her footsteps and quickly approached Li Fan. Then, she circled to his back and punched at the center of Li Fan's back. But Li Fan didn't even turn his head. He just stretched out his right hand and hit Song Ying's calf from his waist. At the same time, Li Fan quickly turned around. He was as quiet as a virgin and as agile as a rabbit. He pinched his hands into the shape of a crane's beak and quickly poked Song Ying's body a dozen times. Even if he didn't use his internal force, Song Ying still felt sore all over after being hit like this. She couldn't muster any strength. What's going on? Song Ying's body softened and almost fell down. Fortunately, Li Fan grabbed her hand and pulled her into his embrace to stabilize her body. Song Ying was so close to Li Fan that she was somewhat flustered. Sorry. I didn't control my strength when I pulled you. Li Fan quickly apologized and released Song Ying's hand at the same time. Humph, tell me honestly why I didn't have any strength just now. Song Ying's complexion returned to normal as she urged Li Fan to ask. This is the white crane nod. Li Fan said, it specializes in hitting people's acupoints. I just hit 12 acupoints on your body to temporarily stop your blood circulation. This person's strength comes from the blood circulation. Your blood circulation is too slow, so you naturally can't muster any strength. I see. This martial art is not bad. Can you teach me? Sure. If you want to learn, I'll teach you. Li Fan laughed. Your ability to read people's eyes is very good. Together with my white crane nod, it will definitely be very powerful. Good. Thank you, Brother Li. Don't be so polite. Didn't you treat me to hot pot? I'm returning the favor. You're giving me a big gift. No, the 7 chivalry sects rules aren't too strict. Other than the fact that internal force can't be passed on to outsiders, there aren't any requirements for martial arts. I heard that the Villa Master hopes that the 7 chivalry sects martial arts can be spread all over the world to strengthen the people's bodies. The 7 chivalry sects sect master? Unexpectedly, Song Ying was overjoyed when she heard this. You don't know. I admire him. He's so young, but his martial arts are so high. Looking at Song Ying's starry eyes, Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Don't tell me you like him? Of course. How many girls don't like him nowadays? Song Ying's face was full of joy. It would be great if I could see him. Oh right, since you're an outer disciple of the 7 chivalry sect, can you see Villa Master Li? Can you help me get an autograph? Villa Master Li is a martial artist, not a celebrity. Why would he need an autograph? Li Fan was speechless. Who doesn't know Villa Master Li? Song Ying took out her phone. You definitely didn't notice. Look at this. She turned her phone over and saw a photo of Li Fan on the back. Look, this is my idol. As Song Ying spoke, she even kissed him. Li Fan was speechless. Was he really that famous? I think Villa Master Li looks ordinary. He can't be that amazing, right? You're a martial artist. How dare you say such things? Song Ying curled her lips. Although Villa Master Li isn't particularly handsome, he has a heroic spirit. He's much better than those expressionless little fresh meats. You haven't told me whether you can see Villa Master Li or not. Chapter 1306. Well, Villa Master Li either lives deep in the 7 Knights Villa or is thousands of miles away. It's really hard to find him if you're not especially close to him. That's true. After Song Ying heard this, she couldn't help but nod. She felt a little regretful. It seems that it's impossible for me to get an autograph. Seeing Song Ying's regretful expression, Li Fan couldn't bear it and comforted her. Don't be discouraged. I think you're quite lucky. Maybe one day, you'll meet Villa Master Li. Ah? Really? I can meet him? Yeah, Villa Master Li likes to wander around. Maybe he'll come here and eat hot pot with you. Li Fan winked at her. Nonsense. Song Ying couldn't help but laugh. I don't have that luck. Who is Villa Master Li? He's like an immortal. Why would he meet me and eat hot pot with me? It's hard to say when it comes to fate. Li Fan laughed and didn't point it out. Today's training is almost done. You still have to prepare for the next few days. Let's rest early. As soon as Li Fan said this, he regretted it. There seemed to be some ambiguity in his words. Fortunately, Song Ying was a careless girl and didn't hear the mystery in it. The dojo was very big. The two of them rested separately. Li Fan stayed in the guest room, which wasn't small. Li Fan sat cross-legged on the bed and began to regulate his breathing. After 2 months of transferring inner force to Murong Ing, Li Fan had used up a lot of his inner force. He had eaten all the rejuvenation pills he brought. If Li Fan wanted to recover his inner force, he needed to rest for a while. After regulating his breathing for a long time, he stretched out his left hand and condensed a strong chill in his palm. Black Dragon Ice Palm was Li Fan's unique skill. Although it wasn't as powerful as Thunder Dragon Heavenly Punishment, it had a lot of potential. It could be slowly cultivated and become stronger. After 2 months of training in the freezer, Li Fan's Profound Dragon Ice Palm had indeed improved a lot. However, there was no doubt that there was still a lot of room for improvement. As Li Fan adjusted his internal energy, he allowed his Yuan Qi to flow into his left hand to practice the Profound Dragon Ice Palm. In these 2 months, Li Fan carefully divided his martial arts. Among them, the 4 forms were the Dragon Subduing Platform, Dragon Capturing Hand, Battle Dragon Roar, and Dragon Subduing Sword. Among these 4 martial arts, the Dragon Subduing Platform had a total of 36 moves. Each move had different variations. Although he was already proficient in it, it was still a little complicated to teach it to his disciple. As for the Dragon Subduing Sword, it was a little better. It only had 12 sword techniques, but it had to be combined with powerful inner strength and control over Yuan Qi to be able to be used. As for the remaining 2, one was the Dragon Catcher Hand and the other was the Battle Dragon Roar. These 2 skills relied on powerful internal energy as the foundation. It was not complicated to practice, but it needed to be learned and applied. At critical moments, it could be used as a trump card. They could be considered as 2 consummate skills. The minor 4 moves were already so exquisite. However, the truly difficult part was the major 5 moves. Of the major 5 moves, the consummate skill was the True Dragon Golden Body. It relied on extraordinary essence to execute. Only then could one unleash this invincible golden body. Furthermore, the stronger one's inner strength, the longer one could maintain it. As for the dragon traveling through the 9 heavens, it was a movement technique. It had a total of 72 steps. After learning it, even if one could not defeat an enemy, as long as one focused on fleeing, Li Fan believed that no one would be able to catch up. Back then, didn't he leave that old dog Murong and the Heaven's Chosen One in the dust? As for the other 3 martial arts, one would need to have some real perception to practice them. Among them, the Supreme Dragon Fist only had 1 move. It was split into 3 layers. Each layer could increase the damage of the fist technique and the speed of the punch. As for the Thunder Dragon Heavenly Punishment, it had 3 moves. They were the Thunder Dragon Exploding Top, that attacked the top, the Thunder Dragon Coiling Mountain, that attacked the middle, and the Thunder Dragon Swallowing Water, that attacked the bottom. This Thunder Dragon Heavenly Punishment also had a total of 3 layers. With each layer, one could learn a move. If one did not reach this layer, even if one learned a move, it would just be for show. The most powerful one, the one that Li Fan was most proud of, was his Profound Dragon Ice Palm. The Mystical Dragon Ice Palm was the true ultimate move. Li Fan had divided the palm energy into 6 layers, and each layer of palm energy could be practiced into an exquisite palm technique. The first layer was the Profound Dragon Raises Its Head, that attacked the top. The second layer was the Profound Dragon Drinking Water, that was similar to the Dragon Seizing Hand. The third layer was the Profound Dragon Spitting Pearls, that strengthened the Profound Dragon Spitting Pearls, after the Dragon Spitting Pearls. At the fourth layer, the might of the Profound Dragon Ice Palm would double. The first move was the Dragon Engulfs All Things, which could absorb the enemy's internal energy. Then, the 5th level was the Overturning the Heavens and Stirring the Seas, which could break 100 enemies at once. The last move was the Frozen 9 Provinces, which could break all kinds of spells. Li Fan was currently practicing this move, Dragon Swallowing Myriad Elephants. After 2 months of effort, his Profound Dragon Ice Palm had reached the 3rd layer. Right now, he was preparing to break through to the 4th layer. In the past, Li Fan could absorb other people's inner strength by relying on the Toad Strike's Dragon Toad Absorbs Water. But this move could only use 10% of one's inner strength after absorbing it. Li Fan changed the way he used this move in the fourth move of the Profound Dragon Ice Palm. If he absorbed 100% of the inner strength and only used 10%, it would be too wasteful. But his practice was exquisite. If the opponent's inner strength was absorbed into his body, it would only be harmful. Li Fan thought carefully and decided to give the opponent a taste of his own medicine. However much inner strength he absorbed, he would use all of it and return it to the opponent. Furthermore, the dragon swallowing myriad elephants had another ability, which was to go against the flow and impart his inner strength to the opponent without any loss. This way, Li Fan could impart his inner strength to others. When he needed it, it would come in handy. Li Fan's luck was very good. At such a young age, in just 3 years of cultivation, he relied on his unique vital energy to break through continuously. In the blink of an eye, he had already reached the half-sage realm and possessed the strength of around 50 dragons. It was nothing for him to impart some inner strength to others. For example, if he imparted the strength of a tiger to Song Ying, she would be able to enter the realm of mastery and then embark on the true path of martial arts. However, this was equivalent to harming Song Ying. Without the protection of the Seven Knights Villa, Song Ying would definitely not be able to survive. The pugilistic world. The current pugilistic world was really pitiful. To actually live like this, it was really laughable. Li Fan slowly opened his eyes and looked at his left hand. His entire left hand was like frost, crystal clear and emitting white light. My Profound Dragon Ice Palm has also reached the 4th layer. Not bad, not bad. Li Fan was very happy. The day he reached the 6th layer, he would also have the strength to be unparalleled in the world. At that time, even if that Liao Ju came out of seclusion, he would not be afraid of him. However, Li Fan did not know that at this time, a small boat was quietly approaching the pier. Chapter 1307. A few figures came down from the boat. The leader was a man with blonde hair and blue eyes. He was tall and strong with an extraordinary expression. He didn't look like an ordinary man. "Commander, you're finally here." The few people next to him were Chinese. They were respectful to the man with blonde hair and blue eyes. "Well, not bad. I'm here to carry out the new star plan." The blonde man had a serious expression as he looked into the distance. This time, the plan to conquer the mainland must not change. "Yes, we will complete this plan," the few Chinese men hurriedly said. "Well, do your best for us. Once the matter is successful, you will get a top green card and come to America to enjoy your life." "Thank you, Commander." The Chinese men were overjoyed. "Okay, I heard that you're going to organize a coastal league the day after tomorrow, is that right?" the blonde man asked. "Yes, this is our tradition. Haiban City has a tradition of practicing martial arts. Men must start practicing martial arts at the age of 6, especially Southern boxing. Therefore, in our Haiban City, there's a saying that goes, 'A man who doesn't practice boxing is not worthy of being a Haiban.'" "What a strange culture." The blonde man snorted. "It's ridiculous. These sick men of East Asia actually want to practice martial arts to strengthen their bodies. Chinese martial arts are just fancy but not practical. How can it be compared to our fighting in America?" "That's right. These sick men of East Asia are obviously weak, but they're still arrogant and look down on other countries. Hee, they deserve to be beaten and die. Commander, you have to teach them a lesson." "Of course." The blonde man sneered. "You guys, go and mess up this coastal league tomorrow. These sick men of East Asia want to practice martial arts? Hee, tell them that you're genetically enhanced mutants. What bullshit martial arts practice? It's all trash and a waste of effort. Commander, we'll all be exposed like this. How about this? Let's choose a representative and let him go. What do you think?" The blonde man nodded. "You're right. You guys alone are enough to humiliate these Chinese dogs. Commander is wise." The few of them hurriedly flattered him, but the blonde man waved his hand. "One of you will stay behind. The rest of you will follow me inland. Project New Star must be completed. Sniping Dragon God number 1 must not be delayed." Yes. I'm willing to serve you faithfully. While the undercurrents were surging over here, Li Fan had been sparring with Song Ying for 2 days. In the past 2 days, Song Ying's strength had improved a lot. Li Fan's white crane nod had also helped her learn it well. With this move and your Taizu fist, you can basically show off your skills in today's league tournament. Li Fan followed Song Ying and stood with her in the arena of the league tournament. Song Ying was here to participate in the competition, while Li Fan was here to join in the fun. To be honest, I'm a little nervous. Song Ying's legs seemed to be trembling. This is my first time participating in this league tournament. The tournament was held on a beach by the sea, surrounded by rows of benches, from low to high, from bottom to top. At this time, there was a sea of people. Many martial artists were rubbing their fists, waiting to compete. Here, Li Fan also saw a few familiar figures, such as those Korean Taekwondo practitioners. They were also there, seemingly wanting to show off their skills. In this kind of atmosphere, it was normal for a girl like Song Ying to be a little nervous. Li Fan gently placed a hand on her shoulder to cheer her on. It's normal to be nervous since it's your first time participating in such a tournament. Not to mention you, I'm also feeling a little uneasy. I don't believe it. Song Ying curled her lips. Especially you. You're actually not participating. That's too much. I'm not from Harbin City. How can I participate in this league tournament? What's there to be afraid of? It's just a competition. If you accompany me, at least I'll have a companion. What's the matter? You can't leave me? Li Fan could not help but laugh. Screw you. Who can't leave you? I just want a companion. That way, I can also boost my courage. Believe in your own abilities. It's no problem. Yes, I have to be more confident. Song Ying took a deep breath. Her chest rose and fell along with it. Li Fan could not take his eyes off her. Damn it, I haven't eaten meat in a long time. I'm really craving it. Li Fan resisted the hunger in his heart. After being a dragon knight once, Li Fan had suffered a great loss. Therefore, Li Fan did not dare to act recklessly now. Look, the league tournament is about to begin. Song Ying's eyes suddenly began to shine. Like everyone else, her gaze fell on the huge arena. Hello, fellow citizens of Harbin City. The host, who was dressed sleekly, stood on the arena and waved at everyone enthusiastically. Everyone has been looking forward to this annual event for a long time, right? Cheers and applause could be heard from all around. Li Fan thought that Harbin City was really a martial arts city. This was also rare. It would be great if the towns around the Seven Knights Villa were like this. However, there were 56 ethnic groups in Huaxia, and the majority of them were Han Chinese. The Han Chinese were honest and moderate by nature. They did not like to be ruthless and fight bravely. Therefore, in ancient times, the culture of the Han Chinese developed extremely quickly. However, Li Fan was a martial artist, and he loved to fight. Although Li Fan wanted to spread the Seven Knights' fist to the world and make everyone want to strengthen their bodies, he was also conflicted. In this world, there were good people, and naturally, there were bad people. If the Seven Knights' fist were to be learned by good people, it would be a good thing. However, if bad people were to learn it, Li Fan would be heartbroken. Every time he thought about this, he would feel conflicted. What are you thinking about? Song Ying saw that Li Fan had a lot on his mind and could not help but push him gently. Nothing, I'm just watching the show. Do you know the people on the stage? Li Fan hurriedly changed the topic. Even if he told this little girl Song Ying, she wouldn't be able to understand him. I know them. Song Ying nodded, and her ponytail swayed wildly. That lively and adorable energy made people want to love her. That fat guy is called Huang Kuan, and he is good at tiger form fist. The tall guy on the other side is a Tongbei fist master, and his martial arts are also very good. This fight between the two of them will definitely be very exciting. However, this fight has its own dangers. Wouldn't it be bad if they hurt each other? Don't worry, there is a professional medical team waiting on the side. Song Ying smiled sweetly. Moreover, everyone knows that this is just the league, so they will naturally be merciful and stop when the time is right. Although we value martial arts, this tradition of modesty has not changed. That's good. Li Fan nodded. This way, it would be more interesting. He did not know why, but as his martial arts realm increased, he began to have some compassion. Chapter 1308. Li Fan recalled his previous question and was suddenly enlightened. Practicing martial arts was like this. There was nothing wrong with martial arts itself. Just like a weapon, the key was to see who was using it. If the person was evil, the more he trained, the stronger he would be, the more evil he would be. But if the person was good, the more he trained, the stronger he would be, the better he would be. And this good and evil was just a person's thought. Martial arts must be passed down. At this time, the two people on the stage were fighting fiercely. Both of them seemed to be equal in strength, fighting back and forth, with no clear winner. However, Li Fan had already seen the trick, and his mouth revealed a smile. Look at the two of them, they are fighting so happily. Song Ying was abnormally excited, pointing at the two people on the stage and said, I think it will take a while for them to finish fighting. Not necessarily. Li Fan smiled. Do you want to make a bet? What bet? I bet that within 3 moves, the result will be clear. Impossible, obviously. Just as Song Ying finished speaking, the fat man suddenly revealed an opening, causing the tall man to be greedy. He followed up with a heavy punch, but he lost his center of gravity. Instead, he was kicked by the fat man's lower body, and he fell to the ground. Aya! Song Ying was taken aback. She was full of confidence just now, but now she was slapped in the face. Why is this? Song Ying did not understand. You, although you have the ability to read people's eyes. But with such a distance, you can't see it clearly. That's for sure. With such a distance, who can see it? But I saw it. Li Fan pointed at the distant fatty. That fatty has been fighting with ease, but he pretended to be weak, pretending to be evenly matched to make the opponent lower his guard. When the opponent lowered his guard, he showed a flaw, leading the opponent to fall into the trap, and was defeated in 3 moves. So that's how it is. Song Ying understood, looking at Li Fan with admiration. You can see it from so far away, you're really amazing. It's okay, just my eyesight is better. Li Fan said modestly. At this time, the next match had already begun. The league tournament in Haiban City was indeed very lively. Gongs and drums could be heard everywhere, and martial arts competitions were constantly taking place. After more than 10 matches, Li Fan was starting to get bored. Finally, it was Song Ying's turn. Song Ying, good luck. Li Fan cheered Song Ying on and watched her walk up the stage. Song Ying was a little nervous at first, but when she stood on the arena, she seemed to have become a different person. She was immediately full of energy, exuding a kind of heroic spirit. This woman had a graceful figure and was delicate and elegant. For a moment, she attracted the attention of many men. They even forgot that she was facing a martial master opponent. Her opponent was a tall and strong man. He spread his hands and got into a snake fist stance. Oh, it's Serpentine Hand. Li Fan's interest was piqued. Sure enough, there were many experts in this vast world. However, Song Ying had learned his white crane nod, so she should be able to fight. Song Ying looked at the strong man opposite her and had long forgotten about her nervousness. Instead, she had an urge to fight. She spread out her fists and feet and displayed the starting stance of Taizu fist. Little girl, although Haiban City is quite fond of practicing martial arts, those who practice martial arts are all men. The strong man looked at the little girl in front of him and mocked. I have been practicing martial arts since I was 3 years old. I have learned a lot of skills and I want to win this league tournament. Jump down yourself, I don't want to bully a little girl like you. You practice Serpentine Hand, right? Please let this little girl have a taste of it. Song Ying was not afraid at all. Instead, she was full of fighting spirit. So silly, the man scolded. Then don't blame me for being rude. With that, the man suddenly flicked his palm and went straight to Song Ying. As for Song Ying, she lowered her body and used a leg sweep, attempting to knock the man down. However, the man's legs were firmly planted there, like an old tree rooted to the ground, making Song Ying unable to kick him. "Little girl, you still have to go back and practice for another 2 years." The man laughed and continued to use Serpentine Hand to attack Song Ying. Song Ying attacked with her Taizu fist. Although the moves were exquisite, there was still a gap in size and strength, so Song Ying was forced to retreat step by step. "Little girl, your Taizu fist is good, but it is suitable for men to practice. As a girl, you can't do it." "Who said that? Watch me." With that, Song Ying raised her crescent eyebrows and slapped the man's chin from the bottom up. The man took a step back and at the same time, raised his foot and kicked Song Ying's body, immediately sending her flying. Song Ying rolled on the ground, stood up again, and stabilized her body. "See that, little girl? Just jump down and admit defeat." The man laughed. "Don't look down on me." Song Ying was also enraged. She suddenly revealed an opening, causing the man, who was eager to make a contribution, to quickly step forward and hit Song Ying with the snake claw. However, right at this moment, Song Ying suddenly burst forward and struck the man's acupoints with more than 10 moves in a row. Using the white crane nod technique, she struck the man's acupoints time and time again. More than 10 hits in a row, and each hit was not light. By the time Song Ying finished, the man's body was already sore and weak, so weak that he fell to the ground, unable to lift himself up. "Ha!" Song Ying kicked with both of her legs, like a rabbit kicking an eagle, directly on the man's face, kicking him to the ground. "Beautiful!" Thunderous applause came from below the stage, and many people were cheering. Although Song Ying was a girl, her punch was really beautiful. "Good fist technique." The man got up, shook his head, and cupped his hands at Song Ying. "Little girl from the Song family, I looked down on you just now. This fist technique of yours, it's very elegant. I'm convinced." The burly man was also straightforward and upright. Li Fan admired him in his heart. He was a real man. "The winner is Miss Song Ying from our Song Family Martial Arts School. Miss Song, you can take a break and prepare for the next match." "Okay." Song Ying was very happy, and when she got off the stage, her face was full of confidence. "Li Fan, did you see that? Wasn't I powerful just now?" Yes, Miss Song is very powerful." Li Fan laughed and cupped his hands in praise. Of course, Song Ying was proud of herself. "You should have the courage like me, daring to participate in this kind of competition, so that you can train yourself, understand?" Yes, I know." Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She was nervous just now, and now she was in heaven again. "This person is so strange." Looking at the next contestant, Song Ying suddenly frowned. "Why have I never seen him before?" Chapter 1309. How come I've never seen him before? Song Ying tilted her head and looked at the ring curiously. "What do you mean?" "You don't know, but I know all the reputable martial artists in Haiban City. I also know the number of people who come here for the league tournament every year. But this person? Look at his protruding mouth and monkey cheeks. I've never seen him before." "You don't have any impression at all?" "No, could it be that he's a new martial artist?" Song Ying thought about it, but recently, I haven't heard of any martial arts schools moving here from other places. Over here, when a new master comes, we have to go to each martial arts school to pay our respects. This is the rule. So that's how it is. However, it could be that he's just like me, a passerby. That's also possible. Let's wait and see." The host announced the start of the competition, and the protruding mouth and monkey cheeks immediately shouted, "Stop talking nonsense. To tell you the truth, I'm not some retarded martial artist." His shout attracted the attention of the surrounding people. They thought to themselves, "Who is this person? How can he speak so arrogantly in this martial arts tournament?" Huaxia's martial arts are nothing more than flowery yet impractical sissy martial arts. I've been practicing karate in Japan since I was a child. This is the skill for fighting. The man had dyed his hair yellow and looked arrogant, as if he was insufferably arrogant. "Fuck your mother's ass. What kind of dog are you? Get down here quickly." The man's rude behavior immediately angered the surrounding martial artists and the audience. Harbin City was a place where martial arts were the norm. At this time, an ignorant man appeared and scolded Chinese martial arts. Wasn't this equivalent to attracting hatred? The yellow-haired man looked at the shouting people around him and sneered. He directly turned around and kicked the flagpole hanging the Seaside League flag. "Did you see that, idiots from your country?" The yellow-haired man's face was full of pride. "How dare you? Flawless. Fuck your ancestors. What right do you have to insult Huaxia martial arts? What country? Aren't you Chinese?" The surrounding people scolded even louder, but the yellow-haired man crossed his arms and mocked, "A group of ignorant and backward people. If you have the ability, come and fight with me. If anyone can defeat me, I will admit that your Chinese martial arts are indeed good and apologize to you personally. If not, you have to admit that Chinese martial arts are trash. Don't practice this stupid thing in the future." Song Ying was also infuriated. The young lady's entire body was trembling. She bit her lips so hard that they turned purple. Her ponytail swayed back and forth. "I'm going to beat this idiot up. There's no rush." Li Fan was much more shrewd than her, so even though he was angry, he could endure it and see what would happen next. "Your Excellency, you sure talk big." At this moment, a cold voice came from the side. There was an indescribable elegance and pride in his voice. Everyone turned their heads in the direction of the voice, and joy immediately filled their hearts. The one who spoke was a handsome young man with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He was wearing a white martial arts uniform with his arms crossed. The words, "True Dragon Gymnasium," were printed on his back. "Aya, it's Brother Liang." When Song Ying saw this man, she was also very happy. She couldn't help but clap her hands. "He's not happy. It looks like that kid is done for." "Big Brother Liang? Who's he?" Li Fan was curious. "He's the champion of our league 5 times in a row." Song Ying looked at the young man with admiration, her eyes sparkling again. Who in Harbin City doesn't know his name? The master of True Dragon Gymnasium, the successor of True Dragon Swift Kick, Liang Guobiao. "Is this person very powerful?" Li Fan asked. "He's more than powerful. His True Dragon Swift Kick is simply a godly skill." Song Ying was very envious as she talked about it. All the martial artists in Harbin City follow his lead. "I just don't know if the 7 Heroes Fist that you guys learn is stronger than Brother Liang and Chief Liang's True Dragon Swift Kick. Our 7 Heroes Fist is powerful, but it has its shortcomings." Li Fan was modest. The world's martial arts are broad and profound. Even the small 5 tigers breaking the gate saber technique has its subtleties. I'd like to see how powerful Chief Liang's True Dragon Swift Kick is. If Brother Liang wants to make a move, you and I will both be lucky enough to see it. Then do you think Brother Liang will make a move? That's hard to say. Let's see the strength of this yellow-haired guy first. Maybe he's just bragging. Song Ying looked down on this yellow-haired guy. It wasn't just her. Everyone here was unhappy with this yellow-haired guy and wished they could go up and give him 2 slaps. "Liang Guobiao?" The yellow-haired guy glanced at the master of True Dragon Gymnasium with a face full of sarcasm. "I heard that your True Dragon Swift Kick is quite powerful. I wonder if it's just an undeserved reputation. Why don't you come up and let me have a look? Since you want to see my True Dragon Swift Kick, that's fine." Liang Guobiao was also a bit shrewd. After hearing this, although his expression was cold, he was not angry. "Hey, Brother Liang, there's no need for you to make a move on this little bastard. Leave it to me," a middle-aged man in a red martial arts uniform said. He pressed his palm on the arena and immediately jumped up, standing in front of the yellow-haired guy. "Oh, it's Uncle Wu. He's the successor of the Iron Thread Fist. He was also in the top 4 last year. He's quite powerful." Song Ying was very familiar with the people who practiced martial arts in Harbin City. Well, it's good to let him be the vanguard. Hey, how could it be the Vanguard? Song Ing reminded Li Fan. Uncle Wu is very powerful. I can't even take 3 moves from his iron thread fist. Oh, so powerful? Li Fan's interest was slightly aroused, but the yellow-haired guy didn't seem to care. He hooked his finger at Uncle Wu. Old man, you think you can fight with me? Go home and buy groceries. Brat, if I don't teach you a lesson today, you won't know your place. Your countrymen are stupid. The yellow-haired guy curled his lips. If you want to die, then come. Uncle Wu immediately jumped over. His arms were wrapped with iron wire and steel rings. He rubbed them a few times and smashed them down on the yellow-haired guy's head. Clang. The yellow-haired guy raised his foot and forcefully broke the iron wire and steel rings wrapped around Uncle Wu's wrist. Uncle Wu was also forced to take 2 steps back. His face was pale and his arms were sore. He couldn't even muster the slightest bit of strength. Old bastard, go down. The yellow-haired guy took a step forward and slapped Uncle Wu's chest. The slap caused Uncle Wu to spit out a mouthful of blood. He flew out of the arena and fell heavily to the ground. Oh my God! This guy is so powerful. The surroundings were in a mess. Everyone, don't panic. Call the ambulance team. Liang Guobiao was very calm. He gave the order and the surroundings quietened down. The medical team on the side also hurriedly carried Uncle Wu away. The people from your country are really trash. The yellow-haired guy sneered again and again. Is there anyone else who dares to spar with me? Chapter 13:10. The strength displayed by the yellow hair was very valiant, causing the bystanders to be secretly surprised. Where did this kid come from? How could he have such martial arts? Kid, you are actually proficient in internal martial arts. Liang Guobiao thought carefully and mistakenly thought that this kid practiced internal martial arts. Pay, what internal martial arts? China's internal martial arts is a joke. The yellow hair was quite disdainful. How come I have never seen any internal martial arts in my life? My strength was given to me by the powerful American technology. Look at your current conduct, you are like stray dogs. Not to mention internal martial arts, even external martial arts are like pigs and dogs. Fuck you. Damn it, this kid is too arrogant. Every time he opens his mouth, I really want to kick him until he has no descendants. Naturally, the surrounding people were cursing. Everyone wanted to personally teach this kid a lesson, but they knew that they were not his opponent. Although I only know the superficial martial arts of external martial arts, I am willing to exchange pointers with you. Liang Guobiao still maintained his grandmaster's attitude, causing Li Fan to want to praise him. Although this Liang Guobiao was not an internal martial arts grandmaster, in terms of realm, he already had a model of an internal martial arts grandmaster. This kind of bearing was really rare. So hypocritical, if you want to fight then come up. I have seen too many of your fellow countrymen's faces. The yellow hair curled his lips, seemingly disdainful of Liang Guobiao. Then I will be impolite. After Liang Guobiao finished speaking, he directly kicked up from below the stage, like a real dragon coming out of the water, straight towards the yellow hair. Good martial arts. Li Fan was a little surprised, as he really could not look down on the martial arts of the world. This true dragon quick kick was really amazing. It was a pity that this Liang Guobiao did not know internal martial arts. Otherwise, as long as he practiced some internal martial arts, he would be like a tiger with wings. Liang Guobiao used True Dragon out of the water and went straight towards the yellow hair. The yellow hair did not know these exquisite moves, so he did not know how to defend himself. He only stretched out his arms and blocked in front of him. Although Liang Guobiao did not know internal martial arts, his leg technique was exquisite and overbearing. This kick actually caused the yellow hair's middle to be wide open. His arms dropped to the side and he also took a step back. The blonde was shocked. Liang Guobiao practiced the True Dragon Swift Kick, and the name had the word fast in it. Before the yellow-haired man could react, Liang Guobiao spun his body and kicked him 3 times in a row, landing on the yellow-haired man's chest. The yellow-haired man was kicked to the point of retreating, and he spat out a mouthful of bitter water. "All right, Boss Liang, nice kick." Everyone applauded and praised. Even Li Fan couldn't help but nod. Liang Guobiao's leg technique was indeed amazing. That blondie had been genetically enhanced, so he might have been implanted with a strengthening chip. However, he had kicked his opponent to the point where he couldn't retaliate at all. It was truly admirable. "Damn it, I was a little careless just now, don't be too arrogant." Liang Guobiao's exquisite leg technique was met with the yellow-haired man scolding, "I'm just going easy on you, don't be so thick-skinned." "Who's thick-skinned?" "You're the shameless one." Everyone cursed. "How shameless?" "Bullshit. Your country is a bunch of stupid pigs." The yellow-haired man flew into a rage. He fiercely kicked forward, wanting to kick Liang Guobiao off the stage. However, Liang Guobiao's martial arts were exquisite. He only needed to look at the yellow-haired man's shoulder to know what he wanted to do. The yellow-haired man just moved a little, but Liang Guobiao followed and moved to the side, causing the yellow-haired man's kick to miss. The yellow-haired man was shocked, but before he could react, Liang Guobiao's kick had already landed on the top of his head. Ding. This solid kick caused the yellow-haired man to be dumbfounded, and he knelt on the stage with a plop. "Good hit. Boss Liang, well done." That was too satisfying. Everyone repeatedly cheered, feeling extremely happy. "Good kick, it's so satisfying." Song Ying couldn't help but clap her hands in praise. She was also annoyed by this yellow-haired man. The yellow-haired man clutched his head and lay on the ground, his body twitching non-stop. "Friend, are you all right?" Liang Guobiao was worried about the yellow-haired man's body. He walked forward and bent down to check. At this moment, the yellow-haired man suddenly exploded and directly punched Liang Guobiao's lower abdomen. Liang Guobiao was sent flying, his body bent like a shrimp in the air, and then heavily fell to the ground. The yellow-haired man followed up with a kick, kicking Liang Guobiao out in midair, causing him to fall to the ground. Liang Guobiao spat out a mouthful of blood. Obviously, he had suffered internal injuries, and the injuries were not light. Despicable bastard. Boss Liang. Everyone was shocked, worried about Boss Liang's injuries, and scolded the yellow-haired man. A few people came up, wanting to bring Liang Guobiao down, but the yellow-haired man kicked them all down the stage. "A bunch of idiots, do you think you can defeat me?" The yellow-haired man continued to clamor, "Look at your hypocritical faces. All of you, call me a dick. If you have the ability, come and play with me. I will stand here, let's see who can bring this guy away. I can't hold it anymore." As Song Ying spoke, she wanted to go up the stage, but Li Fan pressed down on her shoulder. "Forget it. That person is not a martial master. There is no need for you to fight him." "Then what about Brother Liang?" "Leave it to me." After Li Fan finished speaking, he tapped his feet and suddenly soared into the sky. With a flip, he landed on the stage. "For you." When the yellow-haired man saw Li Fan, he frowned. The surrounding spectators were also dumbfounded. How did this kid jump onto the stage? Is he proficient in Qigong? Why do you care who I am? Li Fan looked at the yellow-haired man coldly. "I am just passing by. However, I heard that you look down on Chinese martial arts. Come, I will play with you." "Which sect are you from?" The yellow-haired man sized up Li Fan. "I am not from any sect, just casually playing." As Li Fan spoke, he made a Taiji fist stance. Everyone below the stage felt strange. Taiji fist? It really is Taiji fist. What use can this be, training the body? The yellow-haired man squinted at Li Fan. "Are you coming up to do fitness exercises?" Chinese martial arts are broad and profound. This Taiji fist was created by Grandmaster Zhang Sanfeng. How would a thing like you who is inferior to pigs and dogs know of its might? Fuck, you are still scolding me in such a genteel manner. The yellow-haired man was immediately enraged. "Looks like you want to die." Come. Li Fan beckoned to the yellow-haired man. "You are courting death." The yellow-haired man kicked Liang Guobiao's body with a huge force. It was as if he was kicking a rock as he smashed towards Li Fan. This move was truly sinister and ruthless. However, Li Fan only extended his right hand and placed it on Liang Guobiao's body. Liang Guobiao's body that was smashing over was immediately slowed down and then slowly fell to Li Fan's side. He was then caught by Li Fan. "Brothers below, catch your dojo master Liang." Li Fan threw him down and a few burly men caught Liang Guobiao. "What tricks are you playing? You go down too." The yellow-haired man punched towards Li Fan's face. Chapter 13:11. Li Fan gently moved his body to the side, but he grabbed the yellow hair's wrist and pulled it forward. Bam! This yellow hair fell to the ground and fell flat on his face. Everyone cheered loudly, but the yellow hair was shocked in his heart. This soft punching technique was actually useful? He crawled up from the ground and looked at Li Fan again. "Just now my foot slipped a bit, it doesn't count." The yellow hair clenched his fist and stared at Li Fan. "This little trick of yours is not worth mentioning." "Is that so?" Li Fan waved his hand. "Continue." "Fuck. Go to hell." The yellow hair turned around and kicked straight at Li Fan's chest. Li Fan sneered in his heart. This yellow hair's martial arts were very shallow. Even if it was karate, he only knew a thing or two. He was completely relying on his gene strengthening to fight. Just this one kick was full of flaws. In Li Fan's mind, in an instant, hundreds of ways to resolve the situation flashed before his eyes. When Li Fan came back to his senses, he placed one of his hands on the yellow hair's foot and pulled him to the side, pulling him to the ground and throwing him out. Bam! The yellow hair fell hard again and was in unbearable pain. Fuck! The yellow hair fell until his butt was about to split into 8 pieces. He covered his butt and grinned. "Jumping clown." Li Fan sneered. "Scram back to your Meidi and be a dog." "Right, scram back. Scram off the beach." Everyone cursed. There was no one who did not hate this yellow hair to the bone. "You idiots." The yellow hair was also depressed in his heart. He originally wanted to help his master establish his might here, but he did not expect that he would be beaten by an unfamiliar kid to the point where he was unable to retaliate. "I have a divine art, how could I not be able to beat you? You call this a divine art?" Li Fan laughed out loud. "Come back after getting more benefits from your master. With just this bit of strength, you dare to call yourself a divine art? Bullshit, I'll let you know how powerful I am." The blondie was burning with rage. If the commander were to find out about his current state, he would definitely be scolded. If he was so incompetent, how was he going to ask for a high position in the US in the future? The yellow-haired man steeled his heart. This anger rose from his heart, and he became bold. He stretched out his hand and took out a special metal gauntlet from his body and put it on. What is it? Why is he wearing a metal glove? The onlookers couldn't understand what was going on and didn't know what was going on. "Hee, this is the great magic weapon used to kill you." The blonde laughed out loud. He wore gloves and aimed his palm at Li Fan. Li Fan had seen this thing before. When he was in South Korea, he had seen the androids use it. A glint flashed across Li Fan's eyes. When he saw Blondie raise his hand, he immediately dodged. Bang! A burst of flames burst out like a cannon, blasting a hole in the wall not far behind Li Fan. Too despicable. What is this, a cannon? Everyone was shocked, but they couldn't understand. This was the first time they had seen such a weapon. Haha, this is our great America's technology. The blonde laughed excitedly. He was anxious to kill Li Fan and couldn't care less. How despicable, he even used this thing. Who is this guy? Why don't we call the police? Call the police? Or the royal guards? Everyone discussed, and the more they looked at the blonde, the angrier he became. Everyone, don't be anxious. However, Li Fan had a smile on his face. China's martial arts are broad and profound. Do you think that you can beat me with this? That metal weapon of yours is not even as good as this palm of mine. Shameless boasting. Today, I will beat you into meat paste. The blonde said and once again raised his gauntlet at Li Fan. But Li Fan suddenly appeared in front of the blonde and grabbed his wrist. The blonde was shocked. Before he could react, Li Fan had already twisted his right wrist and slapped the blonde's face with his left hand. But the crisp slap stunned the yellow-haired man. But Li Fan wasn't done yet. He used one hand and slapped the blonde's face until it was swollen like a pig's head. Well done. Right ruthlessly beat him. The audience cheered. Li Fan was also addicted. He pulled the gauntlet from the blonde's hand and crushed it into a pile of scrap iron, then said, "Since you don't want to be a Chinese, then get out of China's territory." Li Fan said, "I also don't want to take your dog life. Quickly scram. You wait. Damn your fellow countrymen." The blonde's mouth was swollen and he couldn't speak clearly. Li Fan didn't stand on ceremony. He kicked the blonde away and in the blink of an eye, he slid far away and fell off the ring. "In the future, if anyone says that they're from China again, I will beat them up," Li Fan said loudly, causing the crowd to cheer. "Thank you, little brother, for saving me." Liang Guobiao had already woken up. After listening to the cause and effect, he was filled with emotion and admiration. He stood under the ring and cupped his hands at Li Fan, thanking him repeatedly. "Brother Liang, you're welcome. I can see that your leg technique is also exquisite, and I admire it very much." Li Fan hurried down but was stopped by Liang Guobiao. "Brother, don't be in a hurry to come down. If you win this challenge, you will be the champion of Haibin City." No. I'm not from Haibin City. I can't be the champion." Li Fan hurriedly declined. At this moment, a roar came from the sky. "Hi, you're right. Li Fan, who do you think you are? How dare you lower yourself to participate in such a childish competition?" Li Fan looked up and saw a figure descending from the sky. The figure was wearing a white robe with a golden star embroidered on the chest and a huge sword on his back. The man stood on the street lamp next to him with his arms crossed. He had long silver hair that was tied up in an ancient bun. His face was sharp and his eyes were like stars. He was rather handsome. He was about 1.8 meters tall and looked down at Li Fan with an air of arrogance. Everyone looked up and was shocked at the same time. They wondered who this guy was. Li Fan? Li Fan is here too? Song Ying was a little surprised. She looked around and stared at the handsome man on the street lamp again. "Who is this guy? Who are you?" Li Fan asked immediately, sensing the man's power. "Tai Bai Jinxing of the Saint Emperor." The man announced his name proudly. "Saint Emperor?" Li Fan knew that Liao Ju was the only one who called himself that. The so-called Saint Emperor was someone who was above the emperor. Liao Ju's title was enough to show his bottomless ambition. Who the hell was Tai Bai Jinxing? Although Li Fan did not know the other party's background, he could feel his immense power. Chapter 13:12. Li Fan, although you have comprehended Yuan Qi, you do not know how to use it properly. Tai Bai Jinxing is unusually arrogant. He crosses his arms and looks at Li Fan with disdain. "How can an ordinary person like you understand the true path of martial arts? Or you, don't you dare cause trouble here. That's right, get down here." A group of martial masters who are responsible for maintaining order at the scene start to shout. Noises. Tai Bai Jinxing hits the ground with his palm. A powerful palm wind immediately explodes, creating a huge crater on the ground. The powerful impact sends those martial masters flying. Not only are they flying, those martial masters' bodies are directly crushed by the palm pressure. In an instant, blood and flesh splatter everywhere. The crowd is shocked and no longer dare to make a ruckus. All of them flee in panic. Although they are martial masters, it is impossible for them to defeat such a monster. Song Ying is also stunned and immediately kneels on the ground. Looking at the scene in front of her, her expression is a bit sluggish. Under this kind of power, the fist technique that she learned is completely useless. Could it be that this is what Big Brother Li told me? The limit of external martial arts. This powerful internal martial arts is actually this scary. Bullying the weak. Li Fan points at Tai Bai Jinxing's nose and scolds, "You are also worthy to call yourself a martial artist. All of you are but ants. If I kill you, then I kill you. What's the harm?" Tai Bai Jinxing is quite disdainful. This is power. This is the difference between us and you ordinary people. The only difference is that there is something wrong with your brain. Li Fan sneered. Liao Ju's underlings are all crazy. Watch your tone, ordinary person. Tai Bai Jinxing looks at Li Fan coldly. If it is not because your body is useful, I would have already cut off your head. Interesting. Li Fan points at his own head. My head is right here. If you have the ability, come and take it. Seeking your own death. Tai Bai Jinxing seemed to look down on Li Fan. Let me tell you, I am not that kind of trash sent by the king. I am one of the Saint Emperor's 2 protectors. I have come to take your body for the Saint Emperor to use. Damn, is Liao Ju a pervert? Li Fan couldn't help but ridicule. Why would he want my body? I'm not interested in men. Filth. Tai Bai Jinxing scolds. Only a filthy person like you would think of such filthy words. It's obviously your Liao Ju who's a pervert. What does it have to do with me? Shut up. How dare you call out His Majesty's name? That. Tai Bai Jinxing was enraged. He unsheathed the 2-meter-long sword on his back and threw it at Li Fan. Li Fan frowned. He felt that what was falling was not a great sword, but a missile. That terrifying pressure almost made him unable to breathe. He didn't dare to delay and suddenly retreated. Using the dragon traversing the 9 heavens, he instantly retreated more than 10 meters away, leaving an afterimage. Boom! Bang! Dash 2 loud sounds. The first sound was the sound of the great sword falling to the ground. The second sound was the sound of the ground collapsing. In an instant, the entire stage was shattered by the power of the great sword. The ground caved in and the surrounding people who stayed to watch the show peed in their pants. This is too terrifying. What kind of power is this? Li Fan looked at the sorry state of the ground in front of him and was secretly shocked. This Tai Bai Jinxing is indeed worthy of being one of Liao Ju's protectors. This strength is also a half-sage. One of his subordinates has the strength of a half-sage, then he himself should be even stronger. Clang! Tai Bai Jinxing stepped on the sword hilt with 1 foot and looked at Li Fan in front of him. He pointed a finger at him. It's not too late for you to submit now. Li Fan doesn't dare to underestimate his opponent. He circulated his essence to the limit. The surrounding rubble on the stage slowly flew up and floated around Li Fan. Looks like they are going to fight? What a fool. Tai Bai Jinxing suddenly appeared in front of Li Fan. His palm turned white as his arm went up and slapped his chin. 5 Emperor's palm, White Emperor supporting the heavens, 70% power. Li Fan's head felt like it was smashed by a sledgehammer. He flew out like a kite with a broken string and fell into the distance. He used the dragon soaring through the 9 heavens Qinggong to flip in the air. At the same time, he dispelled the excess force on his body and landed on the ground again. When he suddenly raised his head, Tai Bai Jinxing had already appeared above his head. He was hanging upside down in the air with his palm turning green as he slapped down. 5 Emperor's palm, Azure Emperor Sea calming, 80% power. Li Fan felt as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him. A sense of fear assaulted him, but the corner of his mouth curled up. At this moment, Li Fan's blood was boiling and he was full of fighting spirit. Black Dragon Ice Palm, Black Dragon raises its head. Li Fan raised his left palm and welcomed Tai Bai Jinxing's palm. Bang! A huge force spread out and impacted the surroundings. Li Fan's feet sank into the ground. The surrounding gravel flew up 7 to 8 meters high. Amazing! The 2 palms met, but Li Fan laughed out loud. How satisfying! Fool! You don't even know how to use your strength. How can you be worthy of being my enemy? Tai Bai Jinxing said as his body suddenly descended. Following that, his other palm landed on Li Fan's waist. His palm turned scarlet red, just like Murong Ying's flame palm. 5 Emperor's palm, Yan Emperor Prairie Fire, 100% power. This palm landed solidly. Li Fan's body was sent flying. He spun in the air and finally crashed into a house in the distance, creating a huge crater in the wall. Did you see that? This is the divine technique passed down by our sacred emperor. 5 Emperor's Palm. Although we both have the power of a half-saint, I can use 100% power. You can only use 40%. You have power but you don't know how to use it. How can you be my enemy? Tai Bai Jinxing was arrogant and proud. He suddenly stepped forward and sent another palm strike towards Li Fan's forehead, leaving behind afterimages. His palm emitted yellow light. 5 Emperor's Palm, Yellow Emperor Ascending Dragon, 100% power. Tai Bai Jinxing's palm was already in front of Li Fan. Li Fan, who had his head down, suddenly raised his head and opened his eyes. His eyes revealed a confident smile. 5 Emperor's Palm is only SOSO. While speaking, Li Fan suddenly moved his body, causing Tai Bai Jinxing's palm to land on the wall behind him. Bang! Rumble! The wall behind Li Fan was directly smashed. Li Fan's left hand grabbed Tai Bai Jinxing's wrist and pulled him in front of him. Before Tai Bai Jinxing could react, Li Fan had already pulled him off balance. At the same time, he sent a flying knee kick at Tai Bai Jinxing's lower abdomen. Puff! Tai Bai Jinxing vomited a mouthful of blood. But Li Fan's attack had only just begun. Chapter 1313. Li Fan pulled Tai Bai Jinxing's body once again and threw him onto the ground. Following that, he aimed his palm at Tai Bai Jinxing and released a killing move. Profound Dragon Spitting Pearl. This was the third move of the Profound Dragon Ice Palm. A ball of ice pearl appeared in Li Fan's hand and was shot out by him, directly hitting Tai Bai Jinxing's body. There was a loud bang. Tai Bai Jinxing was hit by the ice pearl and was completely sealed in ice, unable to move. But in less than a second, the layer of ice shattered. Tai Bai Jinxing struggled out from inside. His body was still covered in white frost. He looked at Li Fan coldly and sneered. Not bad, your fighting technique is indeed very outstanding. Even a battle-hardened warrior like me was tricked by you. But I have absolute power. No matter how many tricks you have, you can't win against me. Tai Bai Jinxing did not seem to have suffered any heavy injuries. Li Fan's combination technique on his body was like a child scratching an itch. Li Fan was shocked. He had used almost all of his strength in this set of moves. Even if it was Murong, if he forcefully ate my move, he would also be injured. Does this fellow in front of me have copper skin and iron bones? Or is it like what he said, I can only unleash 40 to 50% of my power as a half-sage? I'm not in the mood to play with you. Obediently follow me back to the underground palace. As Tai Bai Jinxing spoke, he extended his hand and grabbed at Li Fan's head. Li Fan used crane hand, wanting to slap Tai Bai Jinxing's palm away. But Tai Bai Jinxing's hand seemed to be in the air. It was heavy and did not move at all. Li Fan understood that this move of Tai Bai Jinxing's should be a grappling hand that contains some kind of chi circulation technique. But Li Fan was not to be trifled with. He did not use crane hand, but changed to Thunder Dragon Heavenly Punishment. Thunder Dragon Exploding Top. Thunder Dragon Heavenly Punishment had a total of 3 moves, both offensive and defensive. This Thunder Dragon Exploding Top could hit the opponent's top lane, and could also defend against his own top lane. Li Fan's hand chopped down and landed on Tai Bai Jinxing's wrist. Even if Tai Bai Jinxing wanted to pretend, he couldn't do it now. Li Fan's slash contained the power of lightning, directly knocking Tai Bai Jinxing's hand to the side. If it weren't for Tai Bai Jinxing's protective dipper energy, his hand would have been chopped off. Not bad. Tai Bai Jinxing had been attacking for a long time, and he seemed to be a little annoyed. Surrender obediently. As he spoke, he suddenly stretched out his hand. The sword that was stabbed into the ground suddenly flew up and landed in his palm. The sword was more than 2 meters long and half a meter thick. It was even bigger than Qin Junhua's Mount Hua sword. Have a taste of the sword technique the Sage Emperor bestowed upon me. As Tai Bai Jinxing spoke, the large sword in his hand suddenly swept downwards, bringing with it an enormous sword chi that came slashing down. Shenyuan swordsmanship, 1 sword to conquer the 9 provinces, 100% power. As he spoke, The great sword was already above Li Fan's head. This great sword was ferocious and the sword's body was black. It carried a murderous aura and with a glance, one could tell that it was a divine weapon. Therefore, Li Fan did not dare to block it head-on. Although his fist and leg skills were outstanding, his weapon skills were indeed a little weak. Furthermore, he did not have a suitable weapon right now. If he were to use his hand to chop, Li Fan could not guarantee that his mortal body would be able to withstand this lightning sword. But at this critical moment, a sword was suddenly thrown over from the side. Li Fan's hands were fast and he caught it. Then he injected his powerful essence energy to block the sword. Clang! With a loud dragon's roar, Li Fan felt the sword sink before bending down and pressing down on top of Li Fan's head. The sword let out a groan, as though it would break at any moment. Li Fan did not have the time to see who threw the sword at him. He faced Tai Bai Jinxing and opened his mouth, raising his Dan Tian Chi. Li Fan roared and used the Little Four style, War Dragon Roar. A powerful essence exploded out and instantly sent Tai Bai Jinxing flying. Good kid, you have some ability. Tai Bai Jinxing somersaulted in the air and landed once again. The great sword in his hand carried a powerful sword chi. Thank you for your guidance. When Li Fan turned his head, he realized that Liang Guobiao was nodding at him. It seemed like this sword was also thrown over by him just now. This person was quite bold. At this time, he was still not running. Martial God True Body. Li Fan knew that Tai Bai Jinxing was a strong opponent. He immediately activated his Martial God True Body. The Valkyrie stood up from behind him and struck out with a black dragon ice palm at Tai Bai Jinxing. Profound Dragon raises its head. This palm was directly lifted up, bringing with it a bone-chilling coldness. Tai Bai Jinxing brandished his large sword, his entire body carrying the large sword. He stabbed downwards like a meteor falling to the ground. Xianyuan swordsmanship, meteor falling from the heavens, 100% power. This sword was even more powerful than before. In an instant, it arrived in front of Li Fan. And at this critical moment, Li Fan released a charming gentle sword technique. This sword technique was created by Xia Ho. Clang! The great sword in Tai Bai Jinxing's hand was actually sent flying by Li Fan. Tai Bai Jinxing retracted his great sword. He was extremely angry. He did not expect Li Fan to break his moves one after another. I can't let you live. He was so angry that he lost his composure. He directly raised his great sword and slashed at the ground. Xianyuan swordsmanship, heaven punishing earth slash, 100% power. Li Fan subconsciously felt that something was wrong. He did not have time to do anything else. He first pushed his hands and activated his essence energy. He released it and blew the surrounding onlookers 100 meters away. Bam! And the huge sword chi instantly spread out with the great sword as the axis. In an instant, everything within a radius of 100 meters was in trouble. The ground was split into pieces by the sword chi, and gravel flew everywhere. Li Fan was the first to bear the brunt of the attack and was hit by the sword chi. He only had time to raise his sword to block, but this time, the sword in his hand could no longer withstand it and instantly broke into 3 pieces. And he himself felt like he was hit by a car. His vision turned black, and he tasted something sweet in his mouth. His entire body flew out like a kite with its string cut. He flew out 200 to 300 meters and instantly fell into the sea behind him. Not good. Tai Bai Jinxing was shocked. He waved the great sword in his hand and fiercely slashed at the surface of the sea. One sword conquering the 9 provinces, 100% power. Boom! The seawater was split in half, and it spread out for a few hundred meters. But what was revealed was only a piece of white sand, dead fish, prawns, and some dirty garbage. Li Fan's figure had disappeared without a trace. Damn you, Li Fan! You can't escape. I must find you. Tai Bai Jinxing was furious. He actually let that little thief, Li Fan, escape. His illustrious reputation had actually come to an end here. I won't let you go. Tai Bai Jinxing stepped on the waves and left, leaving behind a crowd of horrified onlookers. I hope he is safe. Song Ying looked at the sea. Although she did not know if the other party was Li Fan, she only hoped that he would be safe. Chapter 13-14. Li Fan felt as though he had returned to his childhood. He did not know why, but he seemed to have become a baby, lying in a cradle. The sunlight from the window shone in, warming his face. He saw a blurry figure standing in front of his cradle. It seemed to be his mother. She stretched out her hand and gently touched his cheek. Her fingertips slid across his skin, bringing with it an indescribable love. "Who is it? Where am I? I want to sleep for a while longer. I feel really comfortable being rocked." At this moment, the figure suddenly transformed into Liao Ju. He stretched out his right hand and grabbed his throat. Li Fan was shocked and stood up instantly. He was covered in cold sweat and shivered. "It's too cold. Where am I?" Li Fan looked around. This place looked very big, about the size of a basketball court, but it was extremely cold. He felt as though he was lying in an ice cave, surrounded by ice that emitted a chilly air. This place was like an extremely cold hell, as cold as an ice kingdom. Li Fan was freezing. He hurriedly sat down cross-legged and hugged his arms. The primordial qi in his body began to circulate around his body. The primordial qi came out of his dantian and circulated in his body according to the method of Li Fan's 7 heroes force before flowing back into his dantian. After walking for a day, Li Fan felt his body warm up. After recovering some of his body temperature, Li Fan also had some ability to think. This place looked like a natural ice cave. It was extremely cold inside, as though it was winter. If an ordinary person stayed in such a place for more than an hour, they would probably freeze to death. Although he did not know how he came to this place, with his strength, it was not a problem for him to stay for 10 days to half a month. But after 10 days to half a month, he would starve to death. Li Fan stood up and walked around the ice cave. Li Fan was pleasantly surprised to find that there was a deep pool in the cave. The spring water in the pool was cold, but there were fish living in it. This way, he did not have to worry about food and drink. These fish were also very powerful. It was not easy for them to survive in such a cold pool. "Ah, fish, I have no choice but to eat you to satisfy my hunger." Li Fan stretched out his hands and bowed towards the cold pond. It just so happened that he was already a little hungry, so he reached out and directly grabbed a cold pool fish in his hand. The cold pond fish was like an ice cube. It was so cold to the touch that Li Fan almost threw the fish back. He cultivated the mystic dragon ice palm, but he didn't expect that even this fish couldn't withstand it. This was quite amazing. "Fuck, this is interesting." Li Fan activated the primordial qi in his palm and sent it into the fish. If it was an ordinary fish, it would have been cooked by Li Fan's essence qi. However, nothing happened to the fish, as if the heat had no effect on it. "I can't eat it raw, right?" Li Fan didn't believe that he couldn't handle a fish. He activated his primordial qi and continuously sent it to the fish. Li Fan's essence qi was thick, but he had to use almost all of his strength to completely steam the fish. "Fuck, eating this meal is really tiring." Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief and began to eat the cold pond fish. He took a bite. The fish meat was plump and melted in his mouth. It was really not bad. However, after swallowing it, he immediately felt a chill in his dantian, which then spread to the meridians in his body. He immediately felt a bone-piercing chill in his meridians. If not for the fact that Li Fan had cultivated the mystic dragon ice palm before, he would have been finished. "This is really strange. Why is the cold pond fish so cold in my stomach?" Li Fan also couldn't figure it out. This cave was really strange. "Whatever, I have to fill my stomach anyway. As long as I don't die from eating it, it's fine." Li Fan quickly ate up the fat fish from the cold pool, which could be considered as filling his stomach. At the same time, the cold qi had already flowed through his meridians. Li Fan felt that this could be used to cultivate his mystic dragon ice palm. The 7 heroes force was almost used up after steaming the fish. Right now, the inner strength in his body was all this cold qi. Li Fan drank a few more mouthfuls of the cold pond water before sitting down cross-legged and began to meditate again. The cold qi in his body flowed along his meridians. It actually circulated a full cycle like the Seven Heroes force. However, Li Fan felt a little uncomfortable. There were a few meridians that were not in the right position. It was not wrong. Li Fan just felt that it was fine to walk like this, but it lacked some strength. If he changed a little, he should be able to become stronger. Since there was no one here, it was suitable for seclusion. Li Fan thought for a moment and decided to follow his heart and boldly improve. The Seven Heroes force was not bad, but as his inner strength continued to increase, the improvement that the Seven Heroes force could bring was limited. The essence in his body was like a basin of water. But the Seven Heroes force was like a ladle. No matter how fast the ladle moved, it would not be able to scoop out all the water. Previously, Tai Bai Jinxing mocked him and said that he could only use 40 to 50% of his power every time. Li Fan had to think of a way to turn the ladle into a big ladle. That would be more efficient. After he changed his route, he felt that the speed of the essence flowing was even faster. After Li Fan completed a full cycle, he then channeled the qi into his dantian and stood up to stop. Li Fan faced the ice wall beside him and struck out with his palm. Bang! A foot-deep palm print was immediately left on the ice wall. Good. Li Fan was overjoyed. His change in route was actually effective. The speed at which he gathered the essence in his body was now faster and stronger. If it was a ladle in the past, it was not just a ladle now. It was basically a water pump. This was indeed a good place to cultivate. Li Fan sat cross-legged in the ice cave and continued to cultivate. Li Fan did not have any concept of time here. He did not know how many days and nights he had been cultivating. Every time he was hungry, he would eat a cold pool fish. By the time he ate 7 cold pool fish, Li Fan had already mastered this set of inner force to the point of perfection. He named this inner force Nine Dragons Force. It was the top inner force of the Seven Heroes Villa. After he had mastered Seven Heroes Force, he could learn this Nine Dragons Force. However, even if Li Fan cultivated the Nine Dragons Force, he still could not light up the last star in his body. He did not know when he would be able to light up the last star. It was too difficult and far away. The Nine Dragons Force had a total of 9 levels. Li Fan had already reached the 8th level after cultivating for a few days. The main reason was that his inner force was deep and his foundation was good. Furthermore, it was a mental cultivation method that he created himself, so he naturally cultivated it quickly. When Li Fan finished cultivating to the 8th level, he spat out a mouthful of cold air. The surrounding temperature dropped a few degrees. Li Fan stopped cultivating and looked at the ice cave. Although this was a good place for seclusion, he was afraid that he would be bored to death if he continued to stay here. I wonder if I can get out of this cave. Li Fan had his hands behind his back. He looked at the surrounding ice wall and fell into deep thought. Chapter 13-15. Li Fan could not be trapped in the ice cave forever. He had to think of a way to leave. However, this should be a land of death. How should he get out? And how did he enter? Li Fan had been busy cultivating the past few days and had not thought about these questions. But now that he had calmed down, he suddenly had an epiphany. Oh right, I might as well give it a try. Li Fan quickly walked to the front of the cold pond and looked at the bottomless water in the pond. Occasionally, cold pond fish would swim around in the water. It was quite tasty. All right, I might really be able to get out. Li Fan did what he thought of. He steeled his heart and jumped into the cold pond. The cold pond water was extremely bone-chilling, even colder than an ice cave. However, Li Fan had cultivated the Nine Dragons art in this ice cave and had a strong resistance to the cold. He did not feel too cold when he jumped into the pond water. The pond water was rather clear. Li Fan held his breath and used the turtle breathing technique to dive deeper. When Li Fan dived for more than 10 minutes, he was suddenly alarmed. There was actually a beautiful woman sitting under the pool. There were many reflections in the water, and he could not see clearly who she was. Li Fan was bold. He swam forward a distance, intending to take a closer look. But when he took a closer look, Li Fan was shocked. The person in the cold pond was none other than the boatman girl he had met on the sea that day. She was the other dragon girl. He had become a dragon knight and had even eaten her husband in the end. From the looks of it, she was the one who had captured him and locked him in this cold pond. Thinking of this, Li Fan broke out in a cold sweat. Although his martial arts were superb, he would definitely not be able to do so underwater. The water was the dragon race's territory. Could he defeat them? As Li Fan was thinking, the woman in the water suddenly opened her eyes. Her beautiful eyes were like cold stars. When they landed on Li Fan, it made Li Fan's heart turn colder. The woman took a few more glances at Li Fan and tilted her head slightly. She seemed a little puzzled. She suddenly stretched out her hand, grabbed Li Fan, and rode on the water. Li Fan felt as if he was riding on a cloud. His speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he had already swum far away. Not long after, he rushed out of the cold pond from another place. Li Fan was thrown to the ground. He flipped over and stabilized his body. The woman stood in front of Li Fan. She wore a purplish-red dress and looked at Li Fan with a charming expression. You could have stayed in the formless ice cave for the rest of your life. Why did you come out? The woman asked. Staying in that cave is really boring, and the food is also monotonous. Li Fan looked at the beautiful woman in front of him and couldn't help but feel a little restless in his heart. It was said that dragons were lustful by nature, especially this dragon girl. She was very good at seducing men. But the one at home was different. That one was a foodie, the kind that would be hungry even after eating. To her, eating was still the most important thing. Men were not as important as eating. As for the one in front of him, she was the true nature of a dragon lady. She stood there without saying a word. Her every frown and every smile was also extremely graceful, making this man unable to resist. You shouldn't have come, the woman faintly sighed. I have already advised you not to come to the East Sea. Why didn't you listen? It's not like I wanted to come. Li Fan curled his lips. Besides, your husband did not wait for me to come to the East Sea. He directly went to me to denounce me. He went to denounce you, so you ate him. The woman looked at Li Fan. It was unknown if she was happy or angry. It was impossible to tell what she was thinking in her heart. You can't blame me for this. Right now, I also don't know what I am. Li Fan laughed bitterly. Besides, I ate him. Did you come to take revenge on me? My dragon race has declined. There are only a few left. The woman sighed. One dead means one less. But this matter indeed cannot be blamed on you. After all, you have a good saying, it takes two hands to clap. You are guilty, but am I not wrong? Look, you speak in a genteel manner today. The last time I saw you, you did not speak like this. Li Fan wanted to change the topic, but the atmosphere was a little heavy. I'm a widow now. It's a sin to continue living. The woman sighed. Ever since he died, I have not left this cave abode. This time, if it was not to save you, I would not have gone out. This means that you still have feelings for me in your heart. Li Fan calmed down. Since she saved him, she would not come to kill him. Whether I have feelings or not, I can't say. The woman's expression was gloomy. It's just that I already have your child. He really hit it in one go? When Li Fan heard that he was a father. No, that Brother Long who was eaten by him was a father, he could not help but feel a little uneasy. What do you think? The woman was a little annoyed. I and that one of mine, for so many years, could not conceive a child. I had no choice, so I took the risk to come to the sea and transformed into a boatman, just to find a lover and carry on the bloodline of my dragon race. I drifted on the sea for a period of time, and did not fancy anyone, but I fancy you. What's good about me? Is it because I am quite handsome? Nonsense, you are very ugly. I fancy you because you are strong. Furthermore, your body has a familiar aura, it makes me feel close. The woman said without hesitation. Li Fan was speechless for a long time. If I want to conceive a healthy dragon child, I must have strong energy. If an ordinary man makes love with me, he will not be able to give birth to a good dragon child. So that's the case. Then I am a father? Why do you worry? Human life is short. My dragon race can conceive for at least 10 years, at most 100 years. Damn, you are suffocating. That's right, our dragon race is oviparous. Li Fan did not know what to say. He thought for a long time, and finally squeezed out a sentence. Is there anything to eat? You're really... Alright, follow me. The woman led Li Fan to a cave at the back. The area of this cave was not big, it was only about 100 square meters. However, there was a bed and a table in the cave, and it was even covered with a tiger skin carpet. It had a different kind of elegance. Li Fan entered the cave, and the woman took out some food and placed it on the table. Li Fan took a look, and realized that it was all fish, prawns, and the like. Damn, it's these again? I have been sick of eating them recently. Li Fan looked at it. He did not have any appetite. I only have these here. The woman pointed outside. If you want to eat something good, there is a good place over there. Over there? Is there a restaurant? There isn't, but there is a pagoda that is under the water. There is a master living in the pagoda. He loves delicious food. If you go there, there will be good things for you to eat. Chapter 13:16. There's a tower underwater? When Li Fan heard this, he was a little surprised. What's the use of a tower underwater? Suppressing the sea? Our water clan lived underwater in our early years. What's so surprising about that? The woman's expression seemed a little distant, as if she was recalling something from a long time ago. What's wrong? What are you thinking about? Li Fan looked at the woman and could not help but ask. Nothing, just some past events. The woman shook her head as if unwilling to talk about it. Well, I still don't know what your name is. Li Fan felt that the atmosphere was a little awkward. I don't remember my name clearly, but there's a Zhu in my name. If you want, you can call me Zhu. Zhu, what an interesting name. When he thought that this woman was the mother of his future child, Li Fan did not know how to face her. You want to keep me here? Li Fan could not help but ask. It's so chaotic outside. Isn't it better to stay here? Zhu looked at Li Fan. Her long black waterfall-like hair fell on her shoulders. She tilted her head and looked at Li Fan. I also want to find a beautiful place, but not now. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. I still have a lot of things to do. I can't stay here any longer. All right, if you want to leave, I naturally can't stop you. Zhu sighed. But if you leave, you won't see me again. That won't happen. This place can't run away. I will come to see you often. No, I'm going to sleep now. Zhu told Li Fan, once we dragon ladies are pregnant, we will fall into a deep sleep and treat ourselves as the hotbed of the dragon child. We will only wake up again when the dragon child is born. And when I go to sleep, I will definitely seal this cave dwelling. So that's how it is, Li Fan understood. It seemed that Zhu planned to sleep for 80 to 100 years. Fortunately, he came out early. If he was any later, he would probably be sealed here. I wanted to visit you more often, but since you don't like it, I won't bother you anymore. Li Fan was not a person who liked to force things. Zhu had her own ideas and he would respect them. Then who is the owner of the pagoda? Li Fan couldn't help but ask curiously. It's just an old friend of mine. It's struggling at death's door in this place. Old friend? Exactly. Zhu looked at Li Fan. In any case, you and my dragon clan are fated, so there's no harm in telling you. She pointed at the wall behind her. There were 5 sacred beasts painted on it. At the very top was a 5-clawed golden dragon. Below them were 4 sacred beasts. They were the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise. Do you recognize these 4? Of course, the 4 sacred beasts. Li Fan nodded. Who wouldn't recognize him? Yes. Do you know their story? I've heard about it from others. Li Fan didn't mention the gluttonous dragon girl at home. He just played along. I heard that the 4 of them are already dead. They've been refined into the weapons of the 4 sacred beasts. They're in the hands of humans. Humans call them the 4 sages. and they kill other sacred beasts. That's right. Zhu nodded. From then on, the 4 sacred beasts no longer exist. This world was now the world of humans. Our dragon clan helped humans at first, but we didn't expect humans to betray us and not even let us off. They secretly massacred our dragon clan, causing us to either die or flee. Sigh, we're also stupid. We forgot the creed of humans. Those who are not of our race are bound to have different intentions. Li Fan was silent for a moment. He couldn't explain himself. After all, he had experienced such things several times. Although he was protected by the Eagle sect and held the position of the Supreme Sword. However, if he let them know that he might not be human anymore, they would probably be wary of him at all times. Those who are not of our race are bound to have different intentions. This was not wrong at all. If you're willing, you can go to the pagoda and take a look. Zhu said, but you have to promise me that you won't hurt the people inside. Okay, no problem. I'm just curious. I won't hurt anyone here. Li Fan just wanted to see who the owner of the pagoda was. No need to guess. It's him. Zhu pointed at the picture of the white tiger. Impossible. Li Fan was shocked. His face was full of disbelief. Wasn't it refined into a weapon? I've seen the Azure Dragon's successor use the Azure Dragon Spear. It's amazing. That's the transformation of the Azure Dragon. Naturally, it's amazing. Zhu said, the 4 sacred beasts have been refined. Only the white tiger is different. The white tiger is the embodiment of ice. It can change into any form and is proficient in the external incarnation technique. When it was being refined, a clone managed to escape in time. This avatar hid in the East Sea Pagoda and never came out. It's really tragic, Li Fan couldn't help but sigh. A dignified mythological beast, like what Zhu said, was struggling at death's door. But it doesn't like outsiders. If you go and ask for a meal, it naturally won't refuse. But if you stay for a long time, I'm afraid it won't agree. I'm just going to see the excitement. After all, I haven't seen the white tiger. It's good to gain some knowledge. What? Then go. I won't keep you any longer. Zhu nodded at Li Fan. But you have to remember, for the sake of us, mother and son, don't make things difficult for the only remaining sacred beast. Well, don't worry. Rare animals naturally need to be protected. Li Fan laughed, causing Zhu to roll her eyes. Your mouth is still as dishonest as ever. Well, you can go. After you see it, it will send you away from here. Okay, then I'm leaving. Li Fan looked at Zhu a few more times. He didn't know if this girl's feelings for him were true or false. However, the fate between him and her should end here. After being a dragon knight for a night, he should be satisfied. Li Fan remembered that Huang Lei told him that he couldn't fire the cannon twice. Otherwise, he would be unlucky. Li Fan tried it once, and the result was bad luck. Go. If we are fated, we will meet again in the future. If not, then we will never meet again. Zhu bowed to him as a farewell salute. Let's meet again. Li Fan had mixed feelings. He left the Immortal's Cave according to Zhu's guidance. As soon as he left the Immortal's Cave, there was a long waterway outside. Li Fan followed the water. In front of him was a hidden underwater pagoda. The pagoda was more than 10 meters high and more than 100 square meters. It was not a big pagoda. On the top of the pagoda, there was a fierce white tiger carved. It's a good place to go. Li Fan swam in the water and looked at the pagoda in front of him. At this moment, the pagoda's door suddenly opened. A huge suction came from inside, sucking in the water beside him and pulling Li Fan in. Chapter 13:17. Before Li Fan could react, he had already been sucked into the pagoda. From the outside, the pagoda had a total of 5 floors. Li Fan was now sucked into the first floor. The layout of the pagoda was very simple. There were only marble tiles on the floor, and there were murals on the walls. These murals depicted the 4 sacred beasts and humans. They seemed to be describing a story. The entire pagoda had a chilling aura that went straight to the bone. If not for Li Fan's self-created superior internal strength, the 9 dragons' force, this chilling aura might have harmed his body. Li Fan stood in the middle of the pagoda and looked at the murals around him. The murals seemed to be telling Li Fan something, but Li Fan didn't have the time to understand them. This was because a huge figure was standing in the middle of the hall. This figure was at least 4 meters tall, and its entire body was made of brass. It looked like an old Buddha with 3 heads and 8 pairs of arms. This copper Buddha sat cross-legged as though it was in a meditative state. God damn it, this thing looks a little weird. Li Fan didn't know what it was, but he felt that it was quite powerful. Just as Li Fan was puzzled, the copper Buddha suddenly opened its eyes. It seemed to glance at Li Fan, and it actually made Li Fan's hair stand on end. Fuck, it's alive? Before Li Fan could react, the copper Buddha suddenly moved. It crossed its legs and seemed to float in the air. In an instant, it moved in front of Li Fan and slapped at Li Fan with its palms. Good timing. Although Li Fan was surprised, he quickly reacted. He gathered his yuan qi and pushed up with his palms. Black Dragon raises its head, 80% power. When Li Fan and the copper Buddha's palms collided, he felt a strong pressure fall from the top of his head, pressing on his palms. Li Fan sneered. How could his Black Dragon ice palm be cultivated for nothing? His yuan qi exploded from his palms, and the copper Buddha's palms were actually frozen with a layer of frost. However, the bronze Buddha suddenly struck out with another palm. He had a total of 8 pairs of arms. Now that 2 pairs were crippled, there were still 6 pairs left. Li Fan, on the other hand, raised his leg and stepped on the bronze Buddha. He used the dragon traversing the 9 heavens steps to instantly retreat more than 3 meters away. Thunder Dragon Mountain, 80% power. Li Fan's palm was wrapped in lightning, and the purple lightning wrapped around his right arm. He threw out a lightning saber that was about half a meter long and struck the chest of the bronze Buddha. Clang. The thunder lightning saber, which had never failed before, only left a shallow mark on the bronze Buddha's chest. Holy shit, Li Fan said, this copper Buddha really has copper skin and iron bones. Even my lightning saber can't do anything to it. It looked like the only way to deal with it was to use the profound dragon ice palm. The bronze Buddha flew in front of Li Fan again, and all 12 of its palms attacked Li Fan at the same time. To his surprise, Li Fan discovered that each of its 12 palms had actually executed a different palm technique. What a guy! Li Fan executed the dragon traversing the world, and his body left after images as he dodged the opponent's palm technique. At the same time, he studied the flaws of the bronze Buddha. Although the bronze Buddha was powerful, it was still a machine after all. How could it be smarter than a human? The 12 palms of the bronze Buddha didn't affect each other, and they were extremely fast as they constantly attacked Li Fan. It's only SOSO. Li Fan had already seen through the bronze Buddha's attack method. Although it had copper skin and iron bones, it still had a weakness. Li Fan stepped on the dragon traversing the 9 heavens and appeared behind the bronze Buddha in almost a breath's time. Profound dragon spitting pearls, 80% power. Li Fan's palm shot out an ice ball, which hit the broad back of the bronze Buddha. Bang! The bronze Buddha's body froze, and it seemed to be affected by Li Fan's frost chi. However, this frost chi didn't affect it for long. Li Fan turned his body and kicked out with the dragon's subduing platform. Divine Dragon Tail Whip, 80% power. Bang! The bronze Buddha's head was directly kicked away, and it hit the ceiling. Without the head, it seemed to have lost its core. No matter how powerful this bronze Buddha was, it couldn't use it now. With a plop, the bronze Buddha fell to the ground, and a crack appeared on the marble floor. This pagoda is really a little strange. Li Fan's voice rose by 8 octaves. Wrapped in yuan qi, it spread throughout the entire pagoda. Interesting. Is this how the master of this pagoda treats his guests? You came uninvited, so you can't be considered a guest. A crisp female voice entered Li Fan's ears. It was as pleasant as the chirping of an oriole, and it made Li Fan's bones soften. The owner of this voice must be a beauty. Li Fan looked up, but he didn't know where the voice came from. If you want to see my master, come up to the top of the pagoda yourself. Sure, how difficult can that be? Li Fan's heroic spirit soared to the sky as he laughed out loud. A rumbling sound came into his ears, and he saw the wall beside him suddenly lift up a stone door. Wait for me, I'm coming. As Li Fan spoke, he used Dragon Swimming 9 Heavens and instantly glided dozens of meters away, entering the door. Behind the door was a staircase that led straight to the second floor. It was unknown what kind of demons and ghosts were hidden on the second floor. When Li Fan came to the second floor, he saw that the layout here was no different from the first floor. It was still the same marble floor and murals on the walls. And on this second floor, there were 18 bronze men standing. The bronze men were all 2 meters tall, and each of them had a different weapon in their hands. It was really a sword, spear, halberd, axe, hook, and fork. My goodness, this time it's the bronze men array? Li Fan laughed. Since it can't be a one-on-one fight, it changed to a group fight? No one answered him, only the 18 bronze men suddenly moved. These 18 men carried different weapons and surrounded Li Fan together. The weapons in their hands were all aimed at Li Fan's body. Come at me. Li Fan stepped on Dragon Swimming 9 Heavens and spun around on the ground. He stuck close to the 18 bronze men and continuously moved around, avoiding the opponent's attack. Too slow. Li Fan's body suddenly flashed and appeared behind a bronze man. Dragon Subduing Terrace, Mad Dragon goes to sea, 80% power. Li Fan kicked up fiercely. The bronze man just happened to turn his head, and his kick directly landed on the bronze man's chin. If it was just a mortal body, this kick would have kicked his head off. However, the bronze man only raised his head slightly and his body was kicked into the air. Dragon Subduing Sword, White Dragon Steel's Heart, 80% power. Li Fan suddenly stretched out 2 fingers and poked at the bronze man's chest. The Dragon Subduing Sword had already returned to its original position. Li Fan had entered the swordless realm from having a sword, and no longer needed to rely on the sharpness of a sword. And this 2-finger stab, the sword chi shattered the heart, so it was called White Dragon Steel's Heart. Li Fan's 12 Dragon Subduing Sword specialized in attacking the vital points of a person's body. Even if the bronze man had copper skin and iron bones, his chest was still pierced by Li Fan's 2-finger sword chi. The bronze man flew out and fell to the ground, unable to move, as if he was already crippled. You 18 bronze men, I will use this 12 Dragon Subduing Sword to subdue you bronze men. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.